Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. Tonight, we're going to have on Jennifer Scelsi and Kevin Malek of Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society. I had them on about UFOs a few episodes ago, and Kevin did a lot of talking because he's a MUFON member as well. But tonight, we're going to focus on hauntings and the metaphysical. We're going to talk about some of their investigations and their experiences through the years haunting in Northern Wisconsin. I'm sure they've been to other places as well. They're very experienced investigators, very well-known. And also, they have a show called Paraversal Universe on Paranormal Radio Key Network. I probably got that wrong. But be joining us in just a second. All right, so Kevin and Jen are getting set up here. We're trying to get their two headsets working. It didn't seem to work. Dang, Logitech. Let me see if we got them figured out here. Let me unmute them. All right, yeah. Kevin, you guys there? You hear me?
Yeah, we couldn't get the headsets to work for some reason. Mine works fine, and
the volume is messed up on my headset, and I couldn't turn you up. I couldn't hear you at all.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work. So, so we might get a little feedback issues because this is playing through their speaker. So just bear with us, people. It's not too bad. I've had it before with other guests. It's not a big deal at all.
Well, we can always turn it down a little bit as long as you can hear us and we can hear you.
Yeah, as long as you can hear me, that's fine. I won't it won't affect your volume if you turn me down any on me hearing you. So. All right, so tonight we're gonna start off with the World Wide Web of Weird. Gonna make it a little longer tonight. Kevin and Jen had some evidence they want to share, and another technical difficulty. Their email crashed on them, so they weren't able to get the evidence we wanted to show. But that's just more good reason to have them on another night again, which I definitely want to do. So let me get the screen share back up, and we'll start off with the World Wide Web of Weird. And I always have a lot of UFO stuff, of course, because the farther I get behind on it, there's so much I don't even show because there's just too much. So let me get the World Wide Web of Weird. And I got a couple extra things tonight that are not even YouTube related on the World Wide Web of Weird to show. All right, so let's start off. We'll start off Bigfoot. Let's see, I had Bigfoot caught on camera by holiday maker walking his dog in North Carolina.
Ooh.
I think I showed this before, but I wanted to make sure. I'm going to play it in tonight. The dog.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just walking through.
Wow, look at him move.
My only point about this is that, I don't know. I think that the dog would be barking like hell at the big figure that's walking through the field.
That I'm noticing the same thing. That was the first thing I noticed. If that was a true Bigfoot, you would think that dog would be would be freaking out.
They usually the stories about Bigfoot and with people with dogs, the dogs go nuts. They go nuts about it. That's at least what I've heard. Here, show it one more time. And to me, it doesn't appear very tall.
No, it doesn't look like your average size height for a Bigfoot.
It could be a juvenile, but usually juveniles are with adults.
Right.
Yeah. I showed a juvenile one a couple episodes ago, and it was kind of like peering behind a tree and that. I love the juvenile ones. But yeah, I have my suspicions about this. I mean, it's definitely dark. If this is like a misidentification, I don't know what it is, but more likely it's probably a hoax and shenanigans. I don't know.
Yeah, it's too inconclusive to call it evidence, really.
Well, look how many times people have faked putting on gorilla suits and claiming to be Bigfoot.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the dog starts to go towards a person, but then it stops and it turns away. It's like it stops because it recognizes who that person is.
Right, and then it's barking off into the woods. Like it has a problem with the big hairy creature walking through the field, you know. my dogs would be going nuts, you know, like they wouldn't go near it, they wouldn't run after it, but they'd be standing there growling and barking. And that's most of the time you hear the stories, you know, about Bigfoot, is something along those lines. Let's see, another Bigfoot one. I don't think I got to play this. I'm playing some of these. If I played them before, I'm sorry, but I wanted to make sure. I lost track of which ones I played on shows before, and there's some ones I wanted that came from last month or two. Starkey Park, Florida. It says 2015. I think the tag I saw it was somewhere around August. Watch closely.
Ooh.
It's like it's taken down a tree. Yeah, I know I didn't show this on the show before. But, you know, they say that the Bigfoot does. That's why I like this video a little bit, because you see it messing with the trees and that they say that's how you can track a Bigfoot. It likes to break big branches and stuff. That's at least what the Bigfoot hunters say. Looks like
I've noticed with watching videos over the years, some things I notice. Sometimes I notice stuff that's not on the video. For instance, like one question I have is like, okay, so you got this awesome evidence of him shaking a tree, and it could easily as be a Bigfoot as not, I suppose.
Right.
You know, it's kind of squatchy in the you know, but then the video just stops. Like there's nothing else. Like you don't see the creature run off. You don't see the guy run off. You don't. You know what I'm saying? So
I feel that way every time I see one of these videos. It's like I want to see the exit. You know, I want to see what happens, like, you know, afterwards, you know. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
And it's the grainiest, crappiest quality too. And it says it's 2015, but it looks like it's being shot with like a 35 millimeter camera, like horrible quality, you know. Looks like even the Patterson film was better quality. And I've talked about, you know, the Patterson film before, you know, how, you know, it's such a beautiful piece of evidence, but it's damaged because the fact that he was making a Bigfoot movie when he shot that. You know, it's the most famous piece of evidence, and it's just totally damned because he was making a Bigfoot movie. You know, that it just destroys any of the credibility of it. If, you know, and it's sad if it's true. It's sad if if the Patterson film's real, that he just, you know, coincidentally actually shot a real Bigfoot when he was out searching for locations.
I used to be a believer that Bigfoot was 100% just your regular flesh and blood cryptid. Right. You know, no superpowers or abilities or anything. As the years go on, and as more and more people are, you know, searching for Bigfoot, and groups now, and there's just like drones and trap cams, and yet we're still not getting anything that looks even close like the Patterson footage. I mean, to me, that footage is on one hand, people are saying the anatomy is so impressive. Yeah. But, you know, on the other hand, how come nobody else is getting anything
like that?
I mean, and the people that I've been talking to lately, that not all of them, but a lot of them that I've talked to lately, they get anomalies and weird things on their trap cameras that they can't explain.
Well, it's like your friend that's the, you know, cryptozoologist, right? That got the alien. Right. And she, you know, has nothing to do with that. She doesn't even, you know, that's not even in her field of ideas, you know? Yeah. And then she comes on the show the week after you guys do. Yeah, I know. I want to listen to that. I totally can't wait. What's her name again? Scelsi Dion. Yeah, I accepted her friend request. I sent her a friend request on Facebook because I'm like totally fascinated by that picture. And if anybody goes back, I don't have it loaded to play tonight. And if you go back to the previous episode on UFOs that I did with Kevin and Jen, we showed that picture and thanked her a lot for letting us have that on the show. It's an incredible picture she got of you know, your typical big-eyed gray alien, kind of fleshy alien, out near her property. and she thought it was going to be a Bigfoot.
Right. Well,
Crazy.
She's a cryptozoologist. She spends, she's got thousands and thousands and thousands of hours on field research just going out there, and so when I was talking to her, she's like, this is the last thing I expected. Like you said, yeah.
I need to get.
So there's definitely.
I need to talk to her. I want to do a Bigfoot show. I've covered aliens, I've covered the ghosts, but my show's the three, that 3 segment. You see the symbol, the ghost, the alien, and the Bigfoot. I need to do a Bigfoot show. So I need to talk to her, eventually get her on here. We could review a lot of the stuff that she has if she wants. It'd be awesome. I'm like totally itching to do a Bigfoot episode. It's something that fascinates me, especially since, like you said, there's never been a body found. We got all this technology to find one. We're not finding one. And I don't think that's because it's not real. I really think where you were going with that, I think, is that they're not a creature. They're dimensional. Yeah,
there's something more to them.
Yeah.
And I see this, keep in mind, I seen one 15 years ago across the highway, and there was somebody with me, so I know I wasn't hallucinating. And I can't, after I crossed and I went back into the thicket, it was gone. I mean, it was just gone. We stopped the car, and we should have seen somebody of that, especially because of the size of the creature.
Yeah. Was this in Wisconsin?
Yes.
Wow.
This was Northern Wisconsin, about 15 minutes out of Rylander.
So a lot of property, a lot of places for something like that to be? Or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, there's abandoned potato farms out that way. And I've heard other people say that the same creature was sighted out there on someone else's potato farm at one point.
Now, do you think they eat potatoes? Do you think they eat potatoes, or do you think they're carnivores, or both?
Well, I think they'll eat anything. I think they're probably like us. Here's the one thing that everybody agrees on: that they like bait. They go after bait, which means that they have a body they need to keep nourished somehow, some way.
Yeah.
The bait goes missing. Although that they're not getting a Bigfoot taking the bait, they're getting like weird lights before the bait goes missing and stuff like that. Streaks, orbs, you name it. Just weirdness.
Yeah, I got to do a Bigfoot episode. I have to. It's just that facet. I've never had the experience. I've had the UFO experience and the ghost experience. I've never personally had a Bigfoot experience, but there's too much. And it's not just the sightings in our modern era. It's all the sightings and myth of the Bigfoot throughout the world, going back, thousands of years. Cultures, our Native American cultures, and India and Tibet, and China, them all having this similar story of a wild man, or just different names. There's something to it. We can't deny that it's just it's just people's imaginations, or people making stuff up, or there's something to it. And I don't know if we'll ever get down to the bottom of it, but all right. So we got off track on the World Wide Web of Weird, but you know what? We talked about this before the show. We're going to let the World Wide Web of Weird kind of hang out tonight. So then we're going to get into Jen here too. I want Jen to get to talk a lot for last episode. I really want to focus on some of the work she's doing too. So we're going to get to that. On the UFO front, I got another NASA stream here. This is from August 2015.
Yet another UFO has been seen during a live NASA Ustream broadcast. This cigar-shaped object comes from the right, behind the ISS, and slowly makes its way across the screen.
I love cigar UFOs.
Isn't the most interesting thing that happens in this clip. The strangest moment is when one of the astronauts says, "And you're ready to probe the first object."
And you're ready to probe the first object.
What is going on here? What are they doing? And what is this thing? I couldn't really understand most of what they were talking about before the statement, to be honest. Is this object a UFO that's about to be probed? Or is this a probe that's about to examine an object we can't see? Or is it neither? You be the judge.
Traditionally in ufology, the cigar-shaped UFOs are credited to the Anunnaki. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, that comes from other people's opinions and research. I could be dead wrong on that, but that's generally.
I've heard that too.
Okay.
And you know, I've always been fascinated with the cigar-shaped UFOs because I just go back to the Bible and the Israelites and the pillar in the sky feeding the manna. You know, so whenever I see the cigar-shaped UFO, my imagination kind of goes. Now, one thing I wanted to say is the military. They, as far as I know, they still have their what is it? Their SpaceX vehicle. That's their classified vehicle up in the atmosphere or up in space, flying around.
Yeah.
You know, who's to say this couldn't possibly be that? I mean, if it was, though, I think they've totally shut down the feed.
Well, if it was, they would have acknowledged it for what it was too.
Yeah, true.
You know, it'd be like, oh, there's our other, you know, that's our, you know, other NASA, and that isn't a cigar shaped either, from what I understand.
It's more like a shuttle.
Right. It would be a triangle from a distance, I would think. Yeah. A triangle-esque, I should say.
Yeah. All right. So another International Space Station one. This one, you see, this is going to get pretty close here. I don't want to end the video just yet because it comes a little bit closer to the space station. But you know how much I just love the people getting to spot this stuff. You know it's not manipulation or anything. It's coming right off the NASA live feed. So that's one of the reasons why I love when people post this stuff. It's fascinating to me, especially because
some of the best footage is that NASA stuff.
Yeah, and there's some really good documentaries out there about the aliens on the moon and all that, and the stuff that NASA's hidden that I love, especially if it concerns the moon, Apollo missions. Right. And I think I honestly think they're letting more of this come out. For one reason is that if it ever gets revealed that they knew, they'll be like, well, we couldn't say anything, but we kind of let it out there. We kind of showed you people, it's like a backup.
Right. The rabbit hole goes so deep. I mean, this kind of stuff is just the stuff on the rim, that once in a while we get a peek of, but there's so much they're covering up. I mean, if they were to fully disclose everything they knew, we would have to take everything we have taught, and it would change us so much.
It's so freaking complicated that they just can't.
Well, they hide it from us. They want to keep us in the dark, because if we're in the dark, we're easier to ultimately control. I mean, that's kind of what I get out of it.
All right, let's go to the next one here. Unmute that. This is from August 30th. You can see it's just hovering there. You see the satellite thing here turning around, and you can see the close-up of it, energy or whatever that is, or the atmosphere around it moving. But the object doesn't move. You wonder one day, though, if with this live NASA feed, there's just going to be something it's going to be undeniable. If it's ever going to happen. Do you think that is ever going to happen? NASA's going to catch something on one of these feeds and they're just going to be like, all right, we can't explain it. It's totally a UFO. The aliens pull up and wave at us throughout the window. And give NASA the big finger and is up. What would happen? I mean, what would happen? How would they deny that? They got this live feed going. Plenty of people around the world watch this stuff like hawks now. What would they do?
Well, it's tough because they've spent so much money and so much time keeping so much of the stuff a secret. It would be so against the prime directive they have to just one day say, oh yeah, okay, so we've been lying to you, here it is. I think if anything comes out, I don't want to say it's going to be staged, but I don't know. I don't.
I've always like they're gonna come down and they're gonna look human and give us the like, we're here to cure your troubles and help humanity, and when you're not looking, we're gonna turn into lizards and eat your babies.
Right.
V frightened the hell out of me as a kid. The original V, like, I don't know. I just like it hit a core inside me. Like, I don't know. Like, that's gonna happen, man. There's gonna be some, nice looking aliens are gonna come, really beautiful looking, and underside they're gonna be reptilians. And I'm scared of snakes. I hate lizards. I hate reptiles. They scare the crap out of me. That's why that show frightened the hell out of me as a kid. So yeah, I think if it ever happened, it would be staged. They'd want to control it. That means they'd be in some kind of agreement with whatever aliens are doing it, though.
Exactly. That's what I would think.
That's scary.
Did you see that? Did you see the article that I posted on my timeline and in UFOs and Alien Contact at the beginning of the week?
Maybe.
Okay. This family has been living out in Roswell for like generations.
Oh, I did.
And they have that one. They have 400 acres of land. I was able to find out going through posts on my timeline on Facebook in the last few days. I got to post it. But the family wouldn't take the money offer, so they have been legally removed off of their own property.
What?
Yeah, and they told them, they're trying to they've been trying to talk them into taking the $2.4 million payout, and they don't want to do it because that land's been in this particular family for like generations. And when they started saying no, they started putting people with armed weapons on the edge of the property on patrol.
So
and they started putting up fences.
Wow. So, and this must be, it's got to be somewhere, it's in Roswell, so it's somewhere near the original crash site.
Yeah, it's like...
They're trying to expand the base is what's going on.
Yeah. Area 51, a certain part of their facility ends where these people, and I can say used to live because they don't live there anymore.
Right.
Living at the time.
Right.
Well, I know Area 51's been trying to expand their area, but that's a huge expansion if they're reaching all the way into Roswell. I mean, that's huge.
And my question is why? I mean, I would think they would be focused more on their secret bases. I mean, this one is so well known about.
A lot of people say that a lot of the stuff's been moved to places like in Australia, like Pine Gap, where Australian society's a lot more controlled and a lot less into the UFO thing as we are, and that a lot of the stuff's at Pine Gap. I don't know. I would think the same, but they used to say it used to be at Wright-Patterson. I think they got it all over the place, to be honest. I think they spread out little pieces here and there, and it's corporate entities controlling it. And most of our government officials don't know crap about it.
Right.
The research I've done, I'm not an expert. That's just my feeling on it, is that, I think your average senator and congressman and even high military officials have no idea. They have no idea what's going on. And this was all controlled by a corporate entities that got a hold of this crap back in the 50s. And the military industrial complex is what I'm talking about here. And they took it over. And it's under their control, and they got their little minions inside our government, and are controlling it for their own profits and use for technology to release or whatever plans they got. I don't know. It's a secret government.
There is a shadow government, and then there's a worldwide government.
But we can really go down that rabbit hole. We better stop.
It'd be like a whole nother show.
I know.
We did the UFO show, so we should move on. I probably should cast all these other UFO videos because we won't stop. That's how many. Look at all these, and I even erased some today. That some I just haven't gotten to. Oh, this is from September 1st. We're doing a longer World Wide Web of Weird. It's all right, but scared vacationers catch an alien watching through the window. Major sighting. We'll see. So September 1st. Is it? I'll fast forward through some of this though.
Now, we received an email a couple weeks ago, and we've been meaning to make a video on it because it's extremely interesting. The image to which you're seeing right now was sent in to us by a man named Glenn C. The subject of that email, which was, and I quote, "Our scary Arkansas vacation, notes and pic." And Glenn sent me a very articulate, well-summarized email about what had happened, describing what's going on in the image. Paraphrasing from that email, my family went to Arkansas, specifically Pilot's Knob. There was a home we rented for a week at which they were having a great time. On the 5th night that they were there, they had just finished playing pool in the basement and had gone upstairs where his 8-year-old son was playing Wii in the basement. Suddenly, his son screamed and ran up the stairs to get him. He went to check on the catwalk that was on top of the house where his wife had been outside smoking, and she had heard some loud popping noises above her, and she actually screamed out loud, which he came out and heard, and gave her such a shock that she ran back into the house, literally almost skidding into some furniture and knocking it over because of this thing. Directly after that, he states in the email that he saw a flash coming through the windows. He heard her scream again, and he went to investigate. He said that when he climbed onto the catwalk outside the house, there were 3 lights in a triangle shape with an upside-down 3-sided pyramid being levitated between them. He said that it casually moved through the trees out of view. So he went picture crazy all around the house because they said they were still sensing movement within the house. And he asked us to specifically look at this image here, where there seems to be a lot of stuff going on that he captured in the image. And what he summarized in his email is happening as what looks like a predator-shaped figure cloaked in the image, which we'll show you, a mini UFO, which you can see by the coffee table, which looks like 3 metallic little orbs controlled by some sort of alien being outside of the window, the glowing eyes of which you can see right down there in the corner of the left window. And he said that this being looked like its mouth was open, almost as if it were talking. And just from taking a look at the image, it's very disturbing because you can see a figure outside the window with glowing eyes coming in through the window. There is what looks like a cloaked figure standing right next to the window, which we've outlined here for you. And then what's even more,
I don't see the cloaked figure. I don't know what it's like, haziness.
Orbs that right to the left of the coffee table. Now we've gone ahead and increased the contrast and exposure of this image, and we've blown up each image for you guys to look out here. Now, this was a very frightening scenario for Glenn and his family, and in the collection of emails that we've exchanged with each other, there is no doubt in my mind that what he and his wife saw is a genuine sighting. You can definitely see from this image here that there is some sort of alien being outside of the window looking in. There is what looks like a cloaked figure, and there's this 3-orbed UFO, all of which are happening in the same image. So it's definitely mysterious.
I don't know. It's creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy.
You know, why would somebody go through all this and send it to the secure team? You know, I don't know.
That's my question. I mean, normally, not saying that they wouldn't get it. I mean, you know, I have people call me from like New York and California wanting to tell me that. I'm like, you know, thinking I'm here in Wisconsin. Why are you telling me?
Right.
It's just you never know who's going to call what or where, you know. But the thing to do would be to talk to some other people besides this one source. I mean, if you can verify this, like let's say the whole family came forward, or you know what I'm saying? I mean, to really find out if this is an authentic photo or not.
Right.
Or
nothing against secure team here. I just, you know, like they need to go out and talk to MUFON or reach out to some kind of organization that's going to really look into this. That was my point. It's like, okay, you reached out to them, but I mean, this is big if this is true, you know?
Right.
you need to do more to find out. And it might not be the end of it. I mean, this is a very intense sighting. Usually I think when people have something like this isn't the only thing that's happening, or is there going to be more that's going to happen?
And of course, as a MUFON investigator, like I say, we'd go in and there's so many questions, as far as like, has this happened to you guys before? And or is this the first time? And then also to talk to other people who've stayed in that house and see if, is this something where, is there a tie to this house? Is this just a random event, or are they actually tied to the family and this is the first time the family actually noticed it,
Exactly. I mean, with all the weird stuff going on, is it interdimensional, or is it a haunting that's confused with aliens? There's a lot of work that would have to be done on this kind of case.
Because I can see the eyes clearly, and then the object on the floor by the coffee table.
Yeah.
But I'm having a hard time seeing where there's a figure that's there that's cloaked.
See, this blurriness here is like a cloaked figure.
And it kind of has me thinking maybe because it's a reflection from glass, like maybe that could be matrixing or pareidolia that they picked up.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I was really thinking. It could be something like that. Oh, all right. We got to get to Jen here soon, but I have a lot. I'm going to skip past this stuff here. I got more UFOs and Bigfoot stuff I can save till, well, it'll be till next month because I got ITC show next month. And speaking of that, let me get to this really quick. Got a couple things more on the ghost front, and then we're going to get to Jen. Let's see. What did I do with it? Uh-oh. Well, maybe I didn't put it on here. Let me do this. Just want to play this because I'm pretty proud of it. So as I've, we've done one ITC show for the ITC Collective, and we had Steve Huff on. Well, he's going to be on next week for the ITC Collective, and with Anthony Sanchez and Mike Acosta from Paradat. He's got his own YouTube channel. He's an investigator. He's got some really good stuff. So Steve said, "Oh, I'm going to definitely promote you this week." So he made this.
Hey guys, this is Steve Huff, Huff Paranormal. I'm here today because I want to tell you guys, check out on YouTube Jason Bland's channel for Paranormal Soup. I will be on there with Michael Acosta and Anthony Sanchez, and maybe we'll talk about the Impossible Box. Tune in and see. It's this Sunday on YouTube. If you go to my Facebook page at Huff Paranormal, I listed the direct link of where you can go see it and what time on Sunday night. Other than that, I have been sitting in my office doing some work.
Now he does a Geobox session. Go to Steve's Huff Paranormal page to see it. I'm not going to play that. He does a pretty cool Geobox session after that. But I thought it was awesome that he plugged me in. Never 4 months doing this now. I never thought I'd have him on my show or be give me a plug on his YouTube channel. So that's pretty awesome.
Cool. It is.
One more thing on the ghost front here. Let me get to my gallery. Ooh. Yeah, these are pictures here of a ghost girl we caught in a theater.
Oh, wow.
Person in the face. You see these weird orbs and all that? I've showed it on a show before. I'll show you since I got your attention.
You know what I like about that one?
Yeah.
Is that it's creating its own light and it's got a tail and trail.
And we got all over. There's like probably 20 pictures of this all over this theater. And I spotted that night a ghost up in the window here. And then later on, see this here.
Oh, yeah.
You can almost see a face there.
So this is your guys, right?
That's from
Midwest Paranormal.
Yeah.
Sweet.
This is another one. That one, 40-degree weather. Like so I don't know. Could have been a bug. A lot of people thought that was a bug in our group, but we were like, me, Judy, and another investigator were like, no, it's 40 degrees out. There's no heating in this place. I'm like holding up a flashlight trying to draw bugs to me. Nothing. I'm like, It's not a bug. There's something weird going on. I'm like, just keep taking pictures. And it was all over the place. And I never
bugs go crazy. Unless it's a lightning bug. You know,
What? There's no way. Not during November. You know.
right?
Oh, that's gonna be for another time.
Ooh,
That's an upcoming
Because-
investigation I have coming on the 25th. I cannot wait to do.
wow.
And I saw this with my own eyes when I was doing the interview, because I had my doubts about this picture, and then I saw this thing with my own eyes. And one day I'll get the guy on here. His name's Jeffrey, and he's got some really crazy stuff going on. And this picture it still bothers the hell out of me, especially after seeing the exact same thing you see in this picture. I saw it for like 3 seconds walk across in his house. He's got a lot of crazy activity. So there's that. I forgot all this stuff is on here. What I'm trying to get to is I'm going to show this again on the ITC show, but I want to show it tonight, and hopefully she's still up to see it, because I want to thank her as my friend Lisa Hughes from England. She does water ITC among other ITC research stuff that she likes to experiment with. And one of the things she likes to do is she likes to do the water ITC. And anybody who doesn't know what this is you take out a pan of water, and people have their rituals. Paul Faircloth, I get his name wrong, I think. He's got some amazing pictures of this kind of activity. Has his own rituals. Lisa has her rituals too. And she likes to ask for people that she knows, can you write their name and can you show me their favorite memory? If you can see, and she was asking for me, she said, can you show me, can you write Jason's name and can you show me his favorite memory? And I really think she nailed this, because you see the J,
Yeah.
the A, and even an S. And then my last name's Bland. Looks like a B and an L, like it's trying to spell it out. But what's even weirder about this, what I really impressed me, she told me she said, I asked it to show your favorite memory. Well, I know what my favorite memory is without a doubt. There's, anybody ask me, what's your favorite memory? I got a picture of it. There's no doubt in my mind what my favorite memory is. So this is it zoomed in.
Yep. I was going to say it's the birth of his son.
Yes.
Yep. And so
Wow.
she nailed it. She didn't even tell me she was doing this.
Wow.
That is absolutely amazing. Look at the picture, what she's doing.
I was going to wait to show this on the ITC Collective, but I'm like, I can't wait to show this. And I got another really cool.
But yeah, this is awesome, dude.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to show it. And I have another really cool ITC water story that happened on the ITC Collective page. I am going to show on the next Collective show. And I'm going to show this again. I was a very big skeptic of water ITC. Okay. It took me. It took pictures like this and things like this to start drawing my attention. Paul Faircloth, I'm getting his name wrong. I know I am. I am the worst host ever. I butcher everybody's names. I have a horrible memory. That's why I never could be an actor. I could never remember lines. But he has amazing pictures. I'm going to get him on here one night. I've talked to him and I'll get his name right that night. I want to show all the pictures he does. He's got a whole. Like, I had thousands of pictures of stuff that he's done that is incredible. Lisa, this blew me out of the water. And I will point this out. I don't want to really, I don't know if people seen the picture of my kid on here before. I've used it on here. But if you look right down here, see this right here? You see where my arrow's pointing? You can almost see a face of a kid. I know it could be matrixing or pareidolia, but I want you to look at that. And then I'm going to go back to my home. There's my kid. Now he's got sunglasses on because I didn't really want to show my kid's full face on my show. But it really looks like my kid. Now, I'll admit my wife says she doesn't see it. Now, she sees the other stuff, but she doesn't see that. But to me, you can't nail it much better than that.
Right.
It really did. So I'm getting into this water ITC thing. I'm really getting impressed by something that people are putting out there. And like I said, I was a big skeptic of it. Because as an investigator, we're trained to really go, well, you're matrixing, your pareidolia, your mind's making images out of clouds. But I'm sorry, there's just too much to this to me. I don't think it's that big of a reach. I really think she nailed it on this one. Blew me away when she sent this to me. One last thing on the ghost front, though. I was watching Destination America the other night, and they talked about this picture, and I've seen it before. And you see, it's about a car crash in 1984. A teen died, and this is like his ghostly image here, and all this wispy light. When I watched it, I go, this really reminds me of something. This was taken by a police officer. When anything's taken by a police officer, I trust it. They're not people to screw around with this kind of stuff. They don't want it. They don't want to deal with this. They don't want this kind of thing to show up in their picture. Because trust me, I worked in the police department for 4 or 5 months when I thought I might be a cop. And during that time, I learned that, you come out with something like this, they're going to razz you so bad. So it's not something you want. And so this cop took this in 1984. It's a very highly respected picture. It made me think of something. Look at the coloration and the lights. This isn't the greatest footage of it. You can see his face here too, and another image of his face. And even say, if you could get a good look at this, if you ever find the episode of Destination America, they talk about this. There's even a dog in this picture. You can't really see it on here. But the energy and the lights, and when they zoom in on it, they really see the light show going on in here. It really reminds me of Michael James, who I've had on my show a few times now, had some great pictures from the U.S. Olympia. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
There's something here. You know what I'm saying? Like, Michael got these pictures. They got these pictures in the show. This is, to me, to me, you get these kind of pictures, people need to start correlating this stuff. There's something about a spirit energy or something going on when you see something like this in your picture. Because I had an instance with a friend who felt like he was being harassed by spirits. And when he moved out of the house, he was being harassed, and he kind of dripped off the face of the earth for a little while. We found pictures on his computer, and in his computer, there was pictures of him and this kind of same exact light show going around him. And I never got to ask him about it. So I've always been fascinated with pictures that show this kind of light show going on that are claimed to be paranormal. Have you guys ever experienced any pictures like this?
Yeah, actually, there's actually a couple photos out at Summerwind that we saw.
Yeah.
That we didn't take, but we had taken or we had talked to somebody else who, this was on a separate case we were working, and as we were talking, just the whole topic of Summerwind kind of came up for a minute. And they pulled out these pictures that they had taken when they were at Summerwind, and it was the kind of like what we call the light show, where you got all these weird lights, and to me that is more legitimate, I guess, than some of the pareidolia shots we see on Facebook and stuff. Like I would rather see like a weird lights and stuff than something where I'm not sure if it's a ghost or not. You know what I'm saying?
Michael James's photos, when I had him on the first time we put those photos up, are still my favorite ghost photos I've ever put up on my show. They're by far the best that I've personally had from somebody on the show on here. And I'm not knocking anybody else's evidence. I've had some good evidence from investigators in the 4 months I've done this. But the lights amaze me. And I just showed you one picture of his. He's got even more. And people go back to that show that I did with him. It'll be Michael James, author and investigator. We showed a lot of that stuff from the U.S. Olympia. And it's incredible pictures he got from there. Being a bad host that I am, I want to give people give me a second here. I want to give people a rundown of who you guys are. I should have did that at the beginning, and I totally missed that. So, all right. So what I talk about, Kevin Malek is a paranormal historian and founder of Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society. He's also a ufologist and a certified field investigator with MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. Jennifer Scelsi is a physical psychic medium and investigator with the NWPS, Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society, and the Wisconsin State Director and Researcher for CSI Paranormals, City Sightings Investigations. That's what it stands for. She's also currently studying demonology and is a Wisconsin representative for PWSM, Presidium Warriors of St. Michael. I butchered that, didn't I?
No, it was Presidium Warriors. I did the same thing.
Yeah, they both run the Northwoods Paranormal Resource Center in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. They are contributing writers for the Supernatural magazine and are host of Paraversal Universe on the Paranormal King radio network by Ross Rasposo. I butchering that too.
Ross Raposo. I think
Raposo. Yes. Awesome guy. Awesome network. Definitely check out Paranormal King Radio Network. It's an awesome place if you want to pick up a lot of good shows. Paraversal Universe is just one of the many good shows on there. So if you like to listen to paranormal talk radio, definitely check it out. So I wanted to get that out there. Sorry I didn't do that at the beginning. I should have. All right. So let's get to our hauntings and metaphysical topics tonight. Like I said, we were going to try to do some evidence tonight from you guys. It didn't happen. That's not a problem. We can talk forever about this kind of thing. So asking you guys, so we're going to go into the hauntings thing. What was the first time? Because, you know, Jen, you're originally from Florida, right?
No, I was actually born and raised in northern New Jersey.
Oh, northern New Jersey. Okay. Sorry. Totally got that.
You know, after I graduated high school, my parents had sold our property and we moved to Florida.
So, you know, you guys, we talked about this previously, I think on the show, that you guys met through basically doing this, right? Doing the being investigators.
Right. Through Facebook and the Paranormal Network.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when you first came up to Wisconsin, what was your first investigation together?
I would have to say that would.
Yeah, think about that.
No, it was residential.
Was it chalet?
Yeah, it was a chalet motel.
Right.
Ooh, I've never heard of it, but it does. You know, I don't know a lot of them. So.
Well, it's apartments, and I had gotten involved with it when I was still living down in Florida. 2 members of our team, when I was still living in Florida, called me to do a remote view because they wanted to see if I could pick up on anything of what was going on around the apartment. Single mother, she's got 2 really young kids. Kids were afraid to sleep in their room at night.
That's always the worst.
Right, they would see things, they would hear things would speak to them. And so they called me to do a remote viewing, and I was on the phone for a good hour. And I was able to describe what the whole entire inside of the apartment looked like.
Wow. Really quick, Jen.
And
so for my listeners that don't know, remote viewing is just pretty much like it sounds. She's where she's at, thousands of miles away or 1,000 miles away, and is able to see into the location. And did they just give you an address or a GPS coordinates or anything like that? Or
no, they just called me up from there.
Yeah, we were at location at the time, and we decided to call Jen. If I remember right, I had told her before I was going to call, and yeah, so we just put her on speakerphone, and she did the reading, and eventually, right after that, it wasn't long after that she moved up here.
Yeah, well, when I did the remote viewing, like I said, I basically described the whole layout of the apartment from when you walk in the front door in the little hallway to the dining room kitchen area, and straight down past the living room, you had the bedrooms.
Right.
And I was able to sit there and describe to the 2 investigators that had me on speakerphone what this apparition looked like.
And this is something that people had seen before too. They'd seen, you know, like the kids had seen the apparition. Well,
yeah, they had been having all kinds of experiences. I don't know if they had seen the apparition the way Jenny did.
Well, of course,
at the time,
At
the time, we were trying to just get a feel for her. We were trying to get a hold on what was there, because there was something there. Something was troubling her and her kids. So Jenny did a remote viewing, and we investigated that evening, and we ended up doing a smudging, like a smudge session out there where we did the cleansing and stuff. And then Jenny moved up like a couple months later, and then we were called back because the activity had returned. And at that point, we were able to go back out with Jen at that point and do another investigation, which was really just a part 2. And at that location, we ended up doing a deliverance, a residence deliverance. And it wasn't, we had brought our resident reverend, Shamingwan Pond, who's a Methodist ordained minister, reverend. Right. And she's like a Mother Teresa type. She's retired. She had her own congregation. She still works with the church in town, but she's no longer at the head of the congregation.
Hey,
but
Kevin,
she's, you know,
Hey, Kevin, move over a little bit. It's like trying to focus in on you, but it doesn't see you. If you could squeeze in a little bit more, like closer to Jen. There you go. Sorry, I wanted to stop you because I had to get you in the camera. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
No, so we brought her in to do a cleansing. Or we investigated and we were going to end the night, and this time we were going to do a smudging again, but this time we wanted a house blessing along with it. And while she was doing her house blessing, and you know, she was calling down to God and all that, our resident psychotherapist had seen a shadow figure come out of the basement where she was at the time doing the blessing and shoot across and go right out the front door where he was standing. And see, the thing was, when we started this, Jen was like, we got to have the door open.
Right.
And my thing is, well, why? If it's a spirit, it can go right through the wall.
But I've heard that before.
Right. But I've learned to trust, everyone at the perspective, discipline. So Tom was like, well, I'm going to stay by the front door and make sure this kitten doesn't get out. Because at that point, we brought the cat back in, the investigation was done, whatever. And that's where you were standing. And so we all went downstairs to start the house cleansing / blessing. And he was upstairs with another investigator. And the other investigator didn't see the figure go by, but he saw Tom's reaction to it as it went by. And it turned out to be the first time he had ever seen anything paranormal in his entire life.
Wow.
He believes in paranormal, obviously, because he's part of the team. But that house definitely had something going on. So
yeah, we had done a ghost box session in the basement at one point. And when you come in the basement, it's really weird because the basement kind of pans out in like different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got like little corners to it. So when you get down the stairs, we had to go hang a right to go in. And that's where the washer and dryer is, and that's where the boiler is. I started getting impressions that something was there. And what the spirit basically was, it wasn't anything demonic, but it was just downright negative.
Right.
And it liked to appear to people or appear to the client and the children as being a woman, because that's what I described when I did the remote viewing. And I got the feeling that it was back in the corner. And one of our investigators that was down there with me at the time, this was right before the blessing happened, I told him I had a feeling that there was something in the corner. And he didn't have a regular camera, so he had a cell phone camera at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he took a picture of where I was pointing, and you could see, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Remember that picture that he took?
Yeah.
It's like this little...
That was cool because Jeff's like, he goes, I take pictures my whole life. Jeff is he's a guide. So he's always taking pictures of fish and this and that. And he's like, all these years I take pictures. He goes, I join you guys. I go out with Jen.
Right.
He was assigned, we always assigned a photographer to Jen. So if she points at something, it's click. And he out of that investigation, he came out with like 3 different anomaly photos.
Yeah.
That he was just wowed over. He was like, I can't believe that happened. I mean, honestly, I can't believe it.
Yeah, he had actually gotten a little shot of something about this big that just shot up from the boiler and was going up through the floors into the apartment.
Wow.
And that's where I was pointing when he took the photo.
Yeah, that's Katrina Cooper that I've had on here. She will say, I understand why people are skeptical of orbs, but she's like, but when I point, and it's right where I'm pointing, it means something. And,
right.
I will agree with that. I'm not a big fan of orbs, but
this wasn't an orb.
It wasn't an orb.
It was like kind of like if I were to take if my hand were to be white and I would like shoot it across really fast. I don't know. Like that.
Yeah.
Like a camera. Just kind of like a white kind of thing that was going up. So it wasn't a round orb.
No.
But it was something that it was transparent, but it was definitely there.
Right. And it looked like the best words to describe it. The best words to describe it for me would be like a blob. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna want to see that. Can't talk about evidence, and I'm like, oh, let me see. I'm an evidence junkie. I know. Too bad for the email, but oh well. Like I said, that's another night. We're gonna get you back on again, and we're gonna go over that. But tonight we can hear about the stories.
Yes.
So did it clear up for them after the blessing, or did they still have issues?
Yeah, actually, after the blessing, she said that everything returned back to normal, and probably, I don't know, it's like maybe 6 months later, she got a job offer in Idaho,
No, Oregon,
Wyoming, somewhere,
Somewhere.
somewhere out that way,
somewhere up that way here.
the west, and so yeah, they moved out there. So, and we haven't heard anything since from anyone
That's
else.
good.
So yeah,
Sometimes these things follow. We know that.
Oh yeah.
There's plenty of classic cases where it's like ghost contamination. You move into a place and the ghost really likes you a lot and follows you. It doesn't have to be demonic. It can follow you.
Right.
So not to scare people, but I've seen that. I've run across that. And I even think, speaking of that, ghost contamination, do you guys believe investigators are susceptible to contaminating a haunted place with stuff that they've taken from other places? It's called ghost contamination.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. People that are openly sensitive like myself, and I have actually had that happen to me. We'll go places like when we used to go to the Summerlin camp out meet and greets. I would always see or hear one of the same two spirits that hang out here around the house.
So yeah,
so they followed.
That's a good question.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we go like different places. I can go to the grocery store and they follow me. So it's kind of, it's like.
My wife,
it's interesting.
my wife actually wards our house because of stuff that's followed me home. Not just from investigating, just things that followed me home. I've had experiences since I was a kid. I'm not a psychic. I'm not a medium. I don't dwell down that path. But I have had those issues. Oh, my dogs are going crazy in the background. But I've had those issues. And whenever it's something that starts to happen in the house again, she's like, oh, time to ward the house again. And then it goes away. So yeah, I definitely think stuff can follow you. It's definitely, I don't want to use the word a danger, but something we should be aware of. It can be a danger.
Oh, right. It can be, because you don't know who's following you or what's following you and why. And there are investigators out there that are not as openly sensitive as some people are, and they may take home what I call walk-ins, which are pretty much what you just said, ghost contamination. They'll take a liking to the person and they'll just follow the person home.
Could be that you look familiar to somebody they knew in their life, or their energy is right for them. I believe a lot of ghosts need the right kind of energy off of a person to manifest or to be active. I think you can have a location that's totally dead for years. The activity is not there, and you have the right people move in after other people lived there, and now it's gone crazy. Why? Well, I think it's the people. I think the people's own energy can feed into that. It's got to be the right energy for that spirit. That's a theory. I can't prove that, but it's my experience, because I've run across instances of that in my investigating years, which aren't that long.
That's what I think. Whatever you are and what kind of energy you put out in general will tell what kind of ghost will follow you, whether they're positive or negative.
Yeah, that's why I think there's some people that just are like, well, I've never seen anything. I lived in this haunted house for years and nothing's ever happened to me. Or you'll live with other people who are experiencing it and they are just totally immune. They don't see anything. They never hear anything. It takes a long time before they ever do. And it makes me wonder, it's how much does our own personal energies play into it? And as investigators, just our own energies that contaminate. My wife thinks that her energy just knocks stuff out of the way and stuff won't happen when she's around. Now, she's seen a lot of stuff, but she always feels like that. And maybe it's just her, her being paranoid about it. But, your own energy can just affect the haunted location, is my opinion.
Well, sure. I mean, and as in life, as in death. So, like hang out with like in general, like she was saying, if you got let's say a ghost hunting group goes out and they got one of their members is a negative kind of person, comes across a negative spirit who takes a liking to it because maybe that person was saying something, or they thought, man, I wonder, I like that guy. I bet it's fun at his house, more fun than it is here. I'm going to follow him back tonight and see if, who knows. Goes back to the guy's apartment where there's, the guy's energy is there. Like maybe he likes negative horror movies or this or that, and it's plastered up everywhere in Slayer posters, and the ghost just may be like, hey, I like this more than where I was at. I'm gonna, hang here for a few days or whatever. The guy starts experiencing paranormal activity, wasn't there before, maybe brought something home with him, and again, had he been a love and light person, that thing may have not have even shown interest to him and followed him in the first place.
I'm dealing with a case, the one I'm doing on the 25th, with a gentleman named Jeffrey. That's all. I won't say his last name. That picture I showed you, he took that picture 4 years ago. Well, his daughter took that picture. I think he was in the room with her, or he was nearby. She took the picture. When I saw this 4 years ago, before I ever got to talk to him, I didn't recently just talk to him like a month or two ago. I saw this picture 4 months ago. I'm like, God, it could be a ghost Photoshop, one of those apps. Well, I never found the image in any of the app images that are out there. I have a whole database of these ghost app images. Never found that. I'm like, there's just something weird about this picture. Well, I found out now interviewing him, after that picture was taken, all this stuff started happening to him. Like, it opened something up, and wherever he goes, he's seen dead people. As simple as that. And it's keeping him up at night. It's awful. So we're trying to get down to the bottom of that. So it's like, what happened? What can happen to somebody just one day out of nowhere? Now you're seeing dead people. Like for Jen, I mean, what was your early? I mean, I'm guessing with you, you've had this since you were a kid.
Oh yeah, I was born with my abilities.
And my experiences, I've had it since I was a kid too. And I mean, I'm not out there like you, but I have experiences. But some people, the right ghost energy, I don't know whether that's the cheesiest way to say it, triggers something in them. And now they're seeing it. And now they're experiencing it when they never experienced it before. And this is not the first time I've run across that with somebody. You guys have any theories on that, how that works? Or have you ever run across that experience with somebody before?
Yeah, I think when it depends on people, you could be going around on with your life for years and not be sensitive, or at least not that you're aware of. And then when you finally get involved in something like the paranormal, and say like your client took a picture and it kind of just like opened up the floodgates. Yeah. That was an automatic trigger, which means he's got to be sensitive.
Oh yeah, I believe he was probably always sensitive, but somehow it was closed off until that point. Because I asked him, "Have you anything in your past that you felt like you were ever sensitive to this stuff?" He's like, "No, not at all." And now it's like full blown.
Right. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
But I've gotten that. I've dealt with a couple of people that have that, and some, not every person that has psychic abilities will necessarily have it at such an early age like I did. You could be in like your mid to late 20s or early 30s to your early 40s before any basic ability starts to show up.
I think that's what happened. Like, I think James Van Prague, I don't think he had any instances until later in his life, if I remember right from his story.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple other psychics out there too. One is was a police detective who he didn't have his first psychic experience until he was working on a case, and he was 30 something. Right. And once he had that first case experience and worked it, he's been able to to touch into that ever since. And now he works as a psychic detective.
You wonder if it's something else on the other side opening them up. Like, hey, this person's got the ability, but nobody's opened it up on them before. I'm going to open it up on them. Like the spirits are doing it. I'm throwing a theory out there. There's no proof to this.
Delayed gene, a gene that we have that maybe won't mature until the right time.
True, that's a good one.
Yeah, but it only takes one spirit to just like completely open up the floodgates for the rest of them to show up.
I think the spirit world has a lot to do with it, or a spirit, doing it to somebody.
Well, we definitely had cases where we had to consider that the people that had come to us are sensitive and not know it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had that.
So that's absolutely
right. Several months ago, we did a case, and we went to the property, and we didn't catch anything. But when they came back, they were there for the daytime interview. We were walking around doing a sleep with the the Ghost Pro meter and the K2 meter, and we got 2 random hits in one area of the house and then nothing. And then as soon as the clients left, because we stayed there overnight.
Right.
We did your run-of-the-mill, investigation. We did the preliminary while they were being interviewed, and we did the night investigation. We didn't catch anything. And it turns out that this couple recently lost their place and had to move. So they moved within another family member's house, and now this family member's house is having activity. So we all kind of came to the conclusion that the property's not haunted. The couple
person.
has to be. It's the person.
Yeah. Yeah. I've run across that before too. If I could have the time in my way, I work not a 9-to-5 job, but a retail job. If I could do this for total professional living and have all the time with somebody I would want to have an investigation with the clients present and investigation with them out as much as possible. Because you want to, what's happening when they're there, what's happening when they're not, to kind of answer that kind of question too. How much are the people living there affecting the location, or is it just the location? So if I could have my way, if I could have more time, and I wish I did, that's how I would do my investigations more. Sadly, we're a small group and we only get to do our stuff, trying to get our schedules together with the client schedule. It's hard. It's really hard. But to do a full-blown investigation the way I really wish I could, that's one of the things I'd love to be able to do. Maybe one day.
Yeah. With the way your show is growing and everything, you can never tell.
I wish. Hey, everybody go to Destination America. You tell them you want me to be on their show. They're looking for shows. You see them play the same shows over and over again. So they're obviously looking for shows. Tell them they need to get a live show. Go to Destination America. Let them know.
I think,
yeah.
I think the people out there that are genuinely interested in helping families, I think that groups like yours and ours, because we're in the same boat, Jenny is full-time medium. I work 30 to 40 hours a week, and that sustains, I have like my day job, where I go out and I'm a painter, house painter. That's what I do. And, I do that 4 days a week, and I got the other 3 days a week where I can be MUFON guy and NWPS guy. And, Jenny does readings during the day. She takes care of the office and everything, and it seems to work out. But I think that, like, as far as like notability that we've gotten, I think that that's like kind of a side effect. Like we never set out to. It's not why we started the show. It was like we were talking before. It was like it has to do with networking and being able to pick the minds of the people you respect and learn things. And,
exactly.
And I think just like the process of helping families gives you the base, and then doing things like the show is like kind of like an extra bonus feature. But without like in your case, without Midwest Paranormal, that's where like that's like the base of the heart of what you guys are doing. Like you're helping, you're going out there and you're helping families, you're making a difference, and that kind of stuff. That's people notice that and people talk, and I think that kind of stuff kind of like will kind of spill over into any notoriety that anybody will have in the future. Like
I've always said I don't ever want to be famous. I'd like my group to be known. I'd like my show to be known. I wouldn't want to be personally famous at all.
I think we wanted respect from our peers, and that's
true. Yeah, having respect is great. I don't have, nobody knows who I am, and that's fine. But I'd like to be respected, for what I do.
More people know who you are than you realize, probably.
Yeah. But getting in my town, I think I'm getting somewhat of a little bit of a reputation. I've probably had it since high school, actually, because I was always the one going out to the haunted places, and I was on a TV class and would make stuff for, going out to the haunted locations and filming that. And there's some urban legends that I helped spread around, not purposely, but I know me being there helped do it. But yeah, getting to do these shows like your show, Paraversal Universe, and doing this is the biggest part about it, is getting to meet people. I would have never got to meet you guys without doing this show. And a lot of the other great people. That's what I love about it. And that's what I wanted this to be, is like right what we're doing right now, paranormal hangout, a place where I can talk to somebody who has the same interest I do, and not make somebody just, I'm sure in your life you talk to somebody about what you do, but they're not a paranormal investigator. They're not into it, and they just kind of look at you like, oh, okay. Your family does that to you, I'm sure. My family does that to me, and it's nothing against them. It's just that they're not in this world. They're not in this thing. They don't know a lot of the things we know. And we can, talk to them to no end, but they're just like, oh, okay. That's just the kind of response. So doing these shows and networking, and to me, the greatest part is meeting people and getting to talk about this subject and share ideas, and really get to like learn from each other. If I never go anywhere else with the show, I don't care. Just doing it to be able to meet people. And if I keep meeting people, that's going to be the greatest thing. That's going to be the greatest thing about doing it.
I think we feel the same way. I mean, even if Paraversal Universe runs its course and nothing happens after that, we were grateful for all the people we met, and just the whole experience, has been great. I think that's something that I'm so glad that we decided to do. I really am. So
doing the investigations that you've done, what is the one that sticks out in your mind as like undeniable? Like this, like you couldn't believe what you were seeing and hearing? I know that's a hard one. You got to think about it probably.
For me, I actually had one when I was living in Florida. I would be called in by local paranormal teams to do medium walks to the house. And for people who are listening who may not know, it's when they send in a physical or psychic medium, and I don't like any information when I do my walks.
Of course.
I don't want to be tainted. I don't want my walk to be tainted.
That should be a requirement for all groups that work with mediums anyways.
Right. It should.
It's hard sometimes, but yeah.
It is.
This particular case, and I'll never forget this, and this is actually one of the things that got me into demonology here. The clients were reporting some pretty nasty activity, to the point where their kids were being physically harmed, and they were being physically harmed. They told the one team that sent me in, it was so many years ago, I can't even remember who the team was, but this one particular investigation that just completely changed me. They allowed me to do a walk of the home, and I was telling everybody what I picked up. Now, before I had walked in the front door, I picked up on what was pretty much a demonic entity. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, oh boy, this is going to be a really good walk. So I get in and I introduce myself, and after I talked to the homeowners and I talked to the investigative team, I walked around by myself and I was doing my medium walk. I had walked around all the floors of the house, the bottom floor.
Right.
And the more and more I got back into the house before I hit the second level, the heaviness and the oppressiveness was so hard that you could barely breathe. It was heavy, and it was completely evil, and you can literally just feel it radiating from what's somewhere inside the home, just all over the home.
Can I ask you this? Experiencing that, people describe cold feelings and hot feelings. Did you feel either one of those? Like it was either too cold or too hot?
Oh no, I felt a really, 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 really cold feeling.
Cold, okay.
When I was going up the second set of steps. The way it is the steps in this home had 3 steps, and there was a flat step. Then you turn and there's another set of steps. As I put my hand on the banister to walk up the second flight, I noticed the temperature in the room drop, and it kept getting cold. It got really, really cold to the point where I was getting chills. It was like really cold. It was just unexplainable. Nobody else that was on the bottom floor or anywhere around the house felt it. I started to walk up the stairs, and right as soon as I got hit with that feeling of cold, I literally saw, and nobody else did. They sensed that something was there. I literally saw this 7-foot tall, blacker than black, shadowy mass at the top of the stairs.
Wow.
It didn't want me to go upstairs. I tried to go upstairs, and the next thing I knew, this thing flew at me. I was picked up and thrown across the room into a wall.
That's intense. I've told you about my shadow person experience where I was levitated off my bed and thrown down and picked up and thrown down. So, I believe that, these things, they can, and it's rare. I want people to know that what happened to you and what happened to me, that doesn't happen very often.
No.
It's got to be something very dark. I don't like to think mine was demonic, but what you were sensing, you felt like it was demonic.
Right. Well, I'll tell you why. And I got a name from this thing. And it was one of the 7 major devils or princes of hell. I don't like to say names because whenever I've done research, they kind of like to show up around here and kind of make their presence known to remind me that they're watching.
It's like saying Voldemort.
Right.
I'm sorry. But this is what it's like.
Exactly. And I started getting...
Cannot be said.
Right. And I started getting information while I was doing the walk. And this thing was basically telling me why it was there, who invited it there. And it was a really, really, really heavy, just messed up case because the homeowners were practicing Satanists.
I knew you were going to say that.
And they had a room upstairs on the second floor that was locked, so you couldn't get in unless you had like a key for a padlock. It turns out they would do black masses and rituals in that room.
Did you ever get to see the room?
No, I did not.
I ran into a client once, and I felt something like that once. Not like she had anything demonic in her house. I didn't think she did. But I felt like stuff was brought in their house because people were practicing that. And the whole room was painted a blood red. Like complete blood red. I'm like, it's just awful. I'm like, first thing I want you to do is to paint this room. Get rid of this room. Right. But I felt like somebody was practicing something and brought something in. But if you're a serious Satanist, my question is, they're Satanists, but they brought you in to investigate. Like, we're having problems and all this stuff. We don't know why. Is that what happened?
That's basically what they did.
What?
The sad thing about this case is they had 2 kids, and this is I basically explained to them what was there. I said I didn't want to say the name, and the husband just looked completely shocked at me because I didn't think obviously he didn't think I was going to pick up anything. So I think it was partly curiosity on their end to have a medium come through to see if
that's what I was going to say.
Verify, like, if anything they had been doing was working.
Right.
Who knows what they're trying to summon or what they're trying to do. And then their kids come along and say, we're being attacked. And,
Well, it turns out, and I found out later, I told the clients at the end of the night, and I said, you have a Ouija board here. You're hiding from people. And they kind of just like really, really, really stunned at this point. I was like, you have this room that's padlocked upstairs. I said, well, I know where this thing is hanging out. I said, I know what it is. I said, I know how old it is. And I said, I know what ranking. And I said, I know what name it is. Wow. And I was like, you people are, and I told them flat, I said, you people are disgusting.
Holy crap. You said that to them?
right out. Yeah, I don't. It's hard for me to buy the tongue.
You're like my wife. My wife would probably say the same damn thing, and I'd be like, "Oh, stop, let's go."
It was like, you bring it. I told the homeowners, and I said, the both of you know what's going on. I said, you bring in people like us, and did you ever? I said, apparently none of you cared because you're just putting all of us in danger by being here.
You're putting your children in danger.
And I said, and your kids, and I said, what are you doing to your kids? And then the wife basically kind of shut down, and she's like, well, that's none of your business, type of thing,
You brought us
and I
here.
was like, right. And I said, well, it is my business. You brought me here. I said, you brought them here, and they brought me here. I said, so it automatically makes it my business. They don't want to deal with me anymore.
Yeah.
So I found out later. I found out 2 weeks later, and this is what makes me really sad. When both of their kids were born, they had, I guess, what they would call guardians or demonic guardians attached to those two kids.
Yeah, I've studied the aspects of Satanism, and a lot of as studying it, I'm an agnostic at heart. I am not a Christian. I can't settle with one religion. I don't believe one religion's right. I don't believe all religions are wrong. I'll admit it. I ride the fence on everything. That's just in my wiring. I can't escape that. It's just how I am. But I'm deeply interested in religion. I'm deeply interested in people's motivations, especially when it comes to the darker side. Why do people choose to do this? I played a video on one of my shows once about a guy who's basically talking about willingly letting spirits possess you, or demons possess you, and that invocation, and be able to use that as a power and as a tool. And I played that on I think I played that on my demon episode, my demonic episode, my first one I ever did, because I wanted to show that there are people out there that want this. They are into this, and I ran across, they believe in my town, there's some satanic groups that operated for years, probably before I was born. And I ran into some kids once that were really messed up, and they told me their parents were into it, and it's attached to them, that they were made to do horrible things. And I really don't think they were messing with me. I really think they believed what they were saying. And I've seen evidence of the places they were talking about where stuff has happened. They didn't know, but I'd already seen the evidence of what they were talking about. So I've always been interested in the subject of generational Satanism. I guess the best way you can put it's passed on from one generation to the other. Right. Malek Martin. Oh, I can't say his name. He was on our bell. He's passed away. Malek Martin talked about this quite a bit. If you go to YouTube and find the old Art Bell episodes, I love his interviews. Real gentle, nice Catholic priest, exorcist, talked about generational possession and how this is passed on from one family to another. And it's a shadow world. It's not exposed, and it's like, if you not there to see it, if you've never been in that family, like my family was great. I never had, my parents weren't, Satan worshipers or anything like that, even though the kids in grade school called me a Satan worshiper. It's like a veil over that you can't see through. Like, it's like what's behind the curtain that these people are doing. It fascinates me to no end and scares me to no end too. And, it's just like, is it real, or is it just a bunch of just rumors, or what? I think there's too much out there not to know that there's something real to it. That there's something going on, Heck, you look at Stanley Kubrick's last movie with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. What was that? Oh shoot! Oh, I can't even remember the dang movie. Eyes Wide Shut. He put a lot of satanic images going on in that sex thing going on and all that. Like, they say he was trying to show that secret world that's going on in that last movie he did. In the conspiracy world, you get down to in the conspiracy theories and about, you especially get the David Icke thing. If you look down that rabbit hole, there's a whole world of Satanists out there. And I always feel weird saying that. Like, I feel like I'm like, Pat Robertson, like, there's Satanists there. I always feel weird saying this, but I do believe there's something to it. It's scary, and why people do it. And then call investigators to go figure out why this stuff's haunting their children is just totally ludicrous.
Right, because they did that intentionally. One, trapped the team that they sent in to see if they could catch anything, which they told me this thing did not want it to be hidden, did not want to be out in the open. So it was hidden. Unless you had any psychic ability before they called me in, the house would not appear that it had anything going on. These things masked the equipment that good. Thank God, 2 weeks later, the church got involved with child services and had those kids removed from the home.
Oh, really?
Wow. I don't know too much detail about that. I didn't press.
Right.
I do know that because they were really young. One was like 4 and one was 5.
That's just awful.
And it's just that, and I told Kevin, and I tell people that I don't talk about this encounter that happened to me very much because I don't like to be reminded of it.
I understand that because you felt like you couldn't help them.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt, and it hurts because these kids are going to have to go through years of psychological counseling and testing and who knows what.
And who's to say, if you go by Malachi Martin would say is that they're going to deal with influence or possession for the rest of their life too, unless they are given the full rights of exorcism. If you go by that. Right. And that's a scary thought for those poor children. It's hard. This is a hard subject for me because as an agnostic, I question everything. I question like psychology. What's a is it psychosomatic? Just abuse creating this. That there's nothing really going on, or is it real? And I definitely believe there's something real because, like I said, I've been tossed and thrown on my bed by some I don't want to say demonic entity, but a shadow person, I call it. So I definitely believe there's dark forces out there, and people definitely give these things power. And they sadly say if you do that, they give your poor children have no choice in this, the power over them.
Right.
That's crazy.
Kevin, what amazes me?
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Kevin.
What amazes me is that they're so. It's like the saying we see this at the end of every show. To the believer, that the evidence is overwhelming, and to the skeptic, there is never enough.
Of course, that's perfect.
I feel like there is so much overwhelming evidence that there is paranormal things out there in the world. I mean, we're talking like tens of thousands of Bigfoot reports. We're talking like hundreds of thousands of UFO reports. We're talking like
go on YouTube once a day. I got at least 20.
Go all the way back to antiquity, where you find talk of ghosts and spirits and UFOs and you name it. These things are real. What amazes me is how many people. Well, society we're kind of like especially our parents and our grandparents were kind of brought up to believe that none of this is real, and it's a taboo to talk about.
Yeah, it's more in the recent years. In the last 20 years, I'd say it's become a lot less taboo.
And I always wonder if that wasn't a mistake on the establishment's part to put out all these paranormal shows and whatnot, because there is definitely an awakening happening within 10 to 20 years. There's no doubt about it. I've asked, not only do we notice it, but we ask, I think, just about every paranormal professional that we talk to, do you believe there's an awakening going on? And they all say yes. And, for me, I wonder, the establishment for so many years, for so long, has tried to keep us dumbed down about this stuff. My question is, why all of a sudden is it out on the TV and everything, and we're talking about it now? That's why I say, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, because, now we're down the rabbit hole again. We're talking about.
We're going to go to the conspiracy.
I can't stay out of it. I just keep falling into this hole.
And then
you can't.
And then to give people out there who are listening an idea of demonic retaliation. Now, after I had done this particular case, my ties were cut with these people. First 3 days after, complete peace and quiet. Went on for about a month or two, where I would see several. I would see them in black shadowy masses form, not like people say on TV, like they see them in like a suit and a tie kind of deal. I see these things for what they really look like. And Hollywood movies are like a cakewalk compared to what these things look like. When I wasn't seeing what they really looked like, I would start seeing little shadows around my house. Didn't think anything of it. I'm a medium. I get spirits that hang around, and I get ones that are constantly passing through. It got to the point where I started getting bruises. I'd actually gotten scratched several times over a 2-month span. I was pinned down to different types of furniture in my house, and essentially got my butt kicked by one of these things.
Right.
And that was a result of working with that case. And so ever since that case, it compelled me to want to know more about the demonic realm. I would see them when I was a little kid. I would get like little glimpses here and there, like they'd peek out of the shadows and you'd see them, but nothing like what I had until I had that encounter at that home.
And you think it's like you said, it's a demonic retaliation for your interference.
Oh yeah, I mean they would do things like they would take things, they would hide things. I would never get like if I had an incident where I was in the shower and now I have Blessed Benedict and Saint Michael medals. I never take them off. And I was in the shower one night and my medals, now the cord I have is kind of rubber, so you kind of have to unscrew it to get it off. Right. Or pull it apart. And my medals were yanked off my neck.
While you were in the shower?
While I was in the shower.
You really were serious. You're not even taking them off in the shower, so they had to just rip them off of you.
Right. But here's the thing that creeped me out about it, was because the medals were on the floor of the bathtub. The necklace that I had them on was still on me.
What I love about that is you said, here's the thing that creeped me out about it. No, you should have been creeped out long before that, but okay.
You really can't explain because now
that's crazy.
Going
Importation, you know?
Right. That's what it is.
And then the second time it happened, my first set of medals literally disappeared. I had to go out and track down a whole new set of medals and get them re-blessed.
And you hear about this. You heard people losing the religious items when they go through this.
You know, I was standing, like I said, the same time I was in the shower, after the medals got yanked off, I got scratched on the back. And it felt like, just like they describe you here about, it's a really, really, really bad burning sensation.
Right.
I had my best friend, she came into the bathroom when I came out of the shower and I asked her to look at my back. I said, because it was burning. She tried to take a picture of it, and oddly enough, with her cell phone, she couldn't get pictures of it.
They're so light. I've seen this. They're so light. They're hard to get a picture of, but they're there.
Yeah.
Our physical eyes, I can see them. I've seen them on people, and I try to get a picture of them, and it doesn't come across very well. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, this set of 3, you can see them as clear as day, because they were even bleeding, but it wasn't like 3. And she tried taking a picture of it. She couldn't get the camera to work on the phone, but now she panned it around to like the door of the bathroom and took a picture of it. It was fine. Every time she tried to get a picture of me where I had a bruise or a scratch, phone's camera would not work. She even tried a regular camera and couldn't get anything.
Wow. So this thing really didn't want you to die. It's interesting at times, too, when you look at this, that people run across this. It's not the first time I've heard this, trying to document some crazy paranormal thing like this, and your equipment completely fails on you. You can multiple different things, and it all fails on you. Like, they're interfering. They don't want the world to know.
No.
You know? No. They want to affect people. They want to screw with people. But, boy, they don't want the world to know.
No. And it was really weird about these scratches, too, because they would be there for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and they would just be gone completely. They were never there.
That's a typical I call ghost scratch, demonic scratch. And for people that don't know, a lot of times it's the 3 because they say it's a mocking of the Holy Trinity.
Yes. And so, you know, after that I had the priest of the local Catholic church come out, and he did a full-on house blessing, and it was gone.
And you never experienced it since, right?
No, I haven't experienced since, but since I've been up here, and whenever we get ready to do cases with people that are going through their own demonic activity, I'll start getting visitations from these things. They won't physically attack me anymore, but if I don't visually see them, I can sense them when they're there. Sometimes I'll hear a name when they show up. I mean, so it kind of varies. I know for a good while, the way, this one particular one, the same one from that one case in Florida, from the Jimmy Sloan case. Remember that one? The Jimmy Sloan case? He was having problems. He had, we haven't heard from him in how long, so I don't even know.
It's been like 6 months.
He has some kind of an attachment. And we were able to figure it out that it wasn't anything mentally wrong with him.
Right.
So he had some kind of a demonic attachment, but he didn't think it was, what did he say?
That was so tough because for me, it's hard for me to evaluate because we never got to physically investigate his case.
No.
He called us from Milwaukee, which is like 4 hours away from us. And and he wanted us to take this on, him on, and his case and everything. And we're like, dude, we're too far away.
Yeah.
We can find somebody to help you in your area.
Yeah.
But we can't do this. Well, as it turned out, he had been to everybody else in his area already. And some people felt he was mentally unstable. Others felt, no, he's got something serious going on. We know he had been to the Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. It was a very sporadic kind of case. So I don't know.
So while he had this thing going on, we'd have our phone conversations because we'd sit there for like 1 to 2 hours or 3 every time he would call, and he would always tell us new stuff that was going on. And that's what kind of made me realize the pattern. It was something demonic, but I wasn't exactly sure. And after the second interview on the phone with him, I actually had, I don't know what to call it.
We're dealing with the unknown, so.
Well, it's like a nightmare, but the only difference is all of your senses are in use while it's going on. There's a term for it, and I can't remember. But
I think I understand what you're saying, though.
But that same demonic being that I helped with that case in Florida was the one that basically showed up with this one up here and told me to back off. And I remember,
this one's mine.
Right, like basically, and it was the same demon from that case that just happened to be attached to this kid that I seen. And so every time we would have phone conversations with him, and we'd give him advice on what to do, I would get visited from these things. It would be to the point where I'd wake up and he couldn't smell it, and it drove me nuts. You could literally smell sulfur inside the room.
I was going to say.
And
maybe that's your warning signal.
Right, and then each time I would wake up from these, I'll just say nightmares because I don't even know what to term them.
Lucid dream?
Lucid dream. There you go. Thank you. That's the term. I would actually sometimes just see this thing standing at the foot of the bed watching me.
God, I know that feeling. Oh, God.
And I'm one of those instances that told me, that I know everything there is to know about you. When once I know you, all of us know you. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's really great.
Yeah. You're giving me chills because when you say it reminds me of my incident and this thing doing this to me. I know I was dreaming. I was wide awake in my dream, you could say, and this thing would take me places and show me things, and mock me and laugh at me and show me what people were doing, like my girlfriend cheating on me, which I wouldn't have believed, and I didn't believe it in the dream. But then I found out it was the truth, and I was actually seeing the night she was like, going on a date with another guy. It showed me clear as day. It's like it's trying to mess with me as best it can, like screw with me and show me stuff I don't want to see. And you know, so and like I said, it's that lucid dream. You're in a dream. You know you're not. You know you're sleeping in your bed right now. You know,
right.
And the thing's talking to you, and it's not like a voice you can pinpoint either.
No.
You know, it doesn't sound like, you know, Jim Carrey or something. You know, it's like a nondescript voice in your dream, and it feels evil as hell.
Right. I mean, I did see this thing once, and it appeared to be like in some kind of like a black suit with like a black tie and like, you know, kind of like wear to a funeral type thing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go out.
No. I never, when I was having experiences, I always see it as a shadow being, but I used to read tarot. And one of the reasons I don't read tarot anymore is I read for this guy in Ohio over the phone. And I got this really bad feeling. It reminded me of my experience. And I felt like this guy was into stuff, like really sadistic, sexual things. And he was just denying it on the phone. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm picking up on. And I turn and look on my couch, and there's this dead looking MF in a black suit, white shirt, black tie. This looks at me and smiles at me like, ha ha ha. Like, I got into your house. I had to have my wife ward the house after that, and I quit. I don't do it anymore. I've done some readings with some people. I'm very trepidatious about doing it. But after that, I was done, because it reminded me right away of my experience with this thing. I felt like I got a good view of something maybe demonic. I don't know, sitting on my freaking couch.
Right. Just saying hi. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the black suit. It was like a funeral suit. When you say that, it just sends the chills to me. Like, oh my God, I've totally seen that.
And what creeped me out about my encounters with this thing was because you can understand from an early age, I would just see like little black shadowy masses.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't see them what they look like with like the whole funerary looking suit and tie. And it got to the point where I would notice, and I could tell before it even spoke what it was, because even though it looked like it was a human like you and me, this one particular incident, I actually saw its teeth. And they always tell you, like when you study demonology, that when you see figures like that, they're always going to have something noticeably wrong with them that's not there. You may see like a tail. You may see a horn. You may see like a hoof, anything. My guy's teeth were pointy, and he was rotted. So his skin was rotted, though. But he didn't look normal at all. But so the teeth, were they pointy? Were they like that? They were pointy.
God, it gives me the creeps. Oh, that's so much like what I saw.
And then the fingernails on this thing were long. And I'm just
And remember, these demons, like, okay, like, you know, for each major demon, it's got like a whole, like, I don't know how many thousands under them. They have like, they have ranks and whatnot.
Right. They call the lower level ones minions.
So
not like the Pixar movie or whatever that.
No. I hope not. They better not be, because I like those minion movies. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was just saying that, you know, so like, you know, if it makes you wonder if an entity focuses on somebody, it's not just that entity. It could be any entities under it. You know what I'm saying? So for those who don't understand, and I know that this comes up with skeptics. So, you know, like for Jenny to say this was one of 7 major demons, and then later on she encountered him with somebody again in Milwaukee. Well, what are the odds, right? That one person out of 5 billion is going to come across the same major demon twice.
Right.
I think that, and I know this happens with other mediums too. Because I study this and I read it all the time. And I think what's going on is when they get a name, I think they're getting like a name of like a whole group. You know what I'm saying?
Of the demonic realm.
Section, yeah. So like you could do like ghost box sessions or, you know, Vacuum sections, and they'll come on and sit there and they'll tell you that they're a demon. And 9 out of 10 times they'll tell you that they're Satan. Well, 9 out of 10 times they're not.
Well, yeah.
They serve Satan.
You know, it's just the lower rank.
It's a fear factor.
Right.
So I think sometimes if when people describe they're seeing like smaller shadow demon things, and other times they'll get this vision of like what you guys saw with the
suit.
jacket.
Yeah.
Whether these could be two separate individual beings, both serving under the name that she got, if that makes sense, or like what the name that.
Right, but in this case, this demon was connected to both cases.
Right. Well, yeah.
But you will get it sometimes to where.
Well, it'd be connected to lots of cases around the planet because there's so many under.
They're an overseer. Like they probably got a minion doing all the work, and the minion's like, "Hey, this BITCA showed up, screwing up everything. And she's talking to my guy. You know, I'm trying. I almost got a soul, but she's messing with him."
Right. Exactly.
Of course, his boss. He goes, "Oh, I know that woman. I'll go take care of it."
Right, and you know, it's funny.
Maybe it works like that. You know, who knows?
Yeah,
really.
And then it's funny because a little bit after that, we didn't hear from him anymore. This thing went away. I haven't heard from it. I started reading. I don't know if you're familiar with Kenneth and Farrah Rose Deal. They're demonologists.
Sounds familiar. I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Extreme Hauntings, and they have some other groups on Facebook. But Kenneth has come out with Christian and as well as Catholic handbooks for demonologists, for people, and then for paranormal investigators, people that want to know. So when I started reading these books, and I started reading them, March maybe?
Yeah.
So from March to now, I will have my little instances where these things will pop up. And I don't necessarily see them visually, but I'll know that they're there. And I'll just say they have their little way of letting me know that they're there. Because the books that I have the Christian handbook, and I'm almost done with the Catholic handbook. I got to get part 2 when that comes out. But what's really cool about
those books.
Well, what's really cool about these books is, you have your generalized information that people know about. Then you have stuff in these books that nobody knows about. It's not common knowledge for just anybody on the outside like us to have.
Sounds like my kind of books.
It's kind of like they tell you, here's a good example. Demons can't read your mind. They can read your aura, but they can't read your mind. I mean, so you have little things that you're just reading over, and it's just like, wow, I never knew that, they could do this and they could do that. And
they say your thought form's going to show up in your aura. I've had experiences where I can see people's aura and shapes in their aura.
Yeah.
I think that if I wish I could see people's aura, because that would let me know if they were a good soul, a neutral soul, or a dark soul. A dark soul being somebody without a conscience.
They don't
to me, a neutral soul is somebody who isn't a servant of the greater good, isn't a disciple of chaos, but depending on who they're with, they're liable to go either way. In other words, they're affected by the others around them. If you take a neutral person and you put them with a bunch of good people, then they'll want to be good and you'll see good things from them. But if you take that same person and put them with a chaotic bunch, they'll go follow suit with that as well. It's almost like, and then of course, then you got the good soul who does have a conscience and cares about things besides themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with this.
Well, no. I feel you. I feel it off of people. I can see, I guess I don't tell people I'm a psychic or medium, but I do believe I have a little extra sensory than normal people.
Right.
And I can see auras at times, not all the time. And backgrounds help. Like your background right now, the white background, if I was in the room with you, I would totally see your aura. That's just how it is for me. I actually experimented it and trained myself a little bit for it. You can train yourself to see. I don't know if everybody can, but I know I can. I also have like 20/20 perfect vision. My wife makes me read the signs way down the road for her. But I know ways. See this bookshelf right back here. This is just one of my bookshelves of massive paranormal books. I know ways you can train yourself, Kevin. It all depends if you have the eyes to be able to do it. Do you wear glasses?
Do I?
Yeah, yes, contacts. I still think you can. I still even think in glasses or contacts you can. but it's an exercise of training your eyes to be able to, like, it's like building a muscle. But I feel it off of people when they're more than I will before I even see it. I feel it off of people.
I'm a good judge of character. I think I really am. Like I sense people well. I read people really well. And in doing so, I can predict they're not exactly what they're going to do, but their basic actions.
Yeah, me too.
You know, if I know that you're a good soul and, you know, we're going to do whatever, I can predict that you're probably going to keep your word, or if you're not, you're going to let me know, you know, certain things, opposed to if you were, well, I see your aura and you're a chaotic soul. That means, of course, everything that the rules change, basically. How I can't trust this, I can't trust that. You might do this, you might do that. Therefore, I got to be on guard for this and that. And so, like, even though you can't predict future specific events, you can predict avenues that they're going to go down, kind of.
It's like it's like a game theory kind of deal. Like you predict the personality and the different probabilities of what that personality will do. Jen, I got to ask you this though. What do you think about sensing people who have demonic attachments, like in everyday life? How often do you run across people you feel like are possessed, fully possessed, or slightly possessed, or have demonic influence?
It's about as rare as the amount of it's about as rare as people going for exorcisms these days.
Right.
It's not often. It's very, very rare. Like with Jimmy Sloan, that was rare. That was extremely rare for us to get connected with somebody that had demonic attachment.
There's something going on with them.
Normally, as far as my senses go, I can sense spirits around people on a daily basis. We go out just in public. And if I don't sense them, sometimes I can see them walking with people as they're walking to the grocery store. Or, you know, and I tell Kevin this all the time. I mean, I have seen some not so nice things following people around, but it's not as often. So it's really, really.
I know I've run across it a few times in my life. I don't know if it was on the show with you guys. I talked about the next door neighbor I had who was having issues and all that. And he was definitely dabbling in the cult. And then I ran across to him a year later, and he was with another woman who always creeped me out. And they like totally gave me that bad feeling. Like it changed. Like I liked him before, but I couldn't be around him. And they show up at my house and I felt like extreme danger. Like they were like, hi, you know. So it's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I gotta leave. That's what I'm doing. I'm getting the heck out of here. I've run across it in my life, so I'm always curious. Somebody is a medium like you, how much you sense that. I can think of a few times in my life, and you know, I just had an experience today. I hate talking about this because I know people I work with watch this sometimes. I was at my work. And this happened to me. This is the second time this has happened to me in my life. And it was both times while I was working. The first time it happened to me, I was working at a retail job, I won't say where. And this was years ago. And I saw a guy walk in, and I could see feeding back. I could see bluish light coming out of his eyes. And like his skin didn't look right. But I'm in a store full of people. Nobody else is noticing that. Nobody. I'm the only one seeing it. So it freaked me out. Well, today I look at this little girl, and she didn't have the same skin issue, but I saw the blue light come out of her eyes. And so that's another note to the weird things I've seen that I have no freaking clue what that means. And, you know, it happened to me today, and that's, you know, many years later. It's only twice. And it's just, sometimes I think I should dwell down the path of mediumship and learn more about it. But there's the other part of me. It's like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Well, just, you know, just like you said, you can practice any muscle.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know, like, I think everybody's got, well, not everybody, but, you know, a lot of people, like, for instance, I'm not a medium. I don't have the gifts that she has, or the intuitive instincts that she does. But I do have spidey sense at times. I think, and yeah. I am empathic. Like, I can pick up on other emotions and stuff.
Oh yeah, I have trouble getting in fights with people because I get sick to my stomach.
I feel like if you know, like, it seems to me like, if it's definitely something that we're, like you and me would be in the same boat, where if we chose to pursue it, we could probably work it and, maybe not get to the same level as someone like Jen, but enough to where, and again, when we go on investigations, we're always using our body as a tool to gauge activity.
Right.
Goosebumps, hot and cold, nauseous feeling.
I always try to ignore it on investigations though. Like my wife knows it. I go out in a place and I know if it's haunted, but I just like, it's a little voice in my head and I just ignore it. I just don't want to know that. I want to be able to go in as an objective observer. I don't want to think about it. And it's something I constantly ignore when I go on investigations. I try not to think about it because I don't want that expectation. I don't want it affecting my investigation. It's really hard. And so that's another reason why I don't dwell down the path. The other reason is I think there's a huge psychological danger for people to go down that path. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to go down that path, but there's a risk. There's a huge risk when you open yourself up like you have. I mean, look what you went through, what you've gone through, what you're going through, I mean, it's dangerous. It can be very dangerous.
Oh, it can be, because you don't know, aside from your human spirits and your negative demonic spirits, what else you're going to encounter in this field. And for me, I was born with it. So I was always open. My abilities were always open, like we're open now. But when it comes to investigations, I tune them out. I leave them heightened long enough to do my medium walk. And then I'll tell him what I came up with as far as impressions go. And then after that, I'll tune my abilities down, because you can't tune them out. I've tried to do that over the years. I mean, they're so advanced, I can't. I could tune them down, but I can't tune them out. So once I'm able to kind of protect myself psychically, I'll go right into investigator mode, and I'll start using equipment and doing the stuff that we normally do.
Well, I know you like doing the spirit box. That you're big into that.
I do.
Yeah.
She loves ITC.
I do. Well, because I get some good response. I always get good responses out of it.
We always have her hold the SB7. I don't know if there's a conduit going on or what, but
I believe it.
Yeah.
I always say we always forget in ITC that it's not always about all the equipment that you're using or the different kinds of equipment. That there's another factor people forget. It's the person doing it, that they're the medium. There's a reason Steve Huff gets all the responses he does. He's not faking it. He's getting it because he's built a rapport. They say his damn name. They said it said its name before, when I was testing it out, my device, it said his name on that. I'm like, geez, he's got a fan base all right on the other side. So I'm saying he's built that rapport. He's constantly doing it, and he's it's not affecting him negatively. He does he has his rituals that he does, and has his way of doing it. He's very experienced at it, but he's building that rapport. That's why he's getting. If you just pop on a spirit box, you've never done it before, don't expect to get those kind of results. It's not going to happen. I doubt it. I don't think I get the results I as great here because my wife's warded the house.
Right, but and it's like with the ghost box, he can pass it around, he'll hold it, and nothing will come through. He'll pass it around to 2 or 3 other people, nothing. The minute that thing touches my hand, it just goes. Before I even start asking questions. And I have actually one of Matt Payne's ITC research apps on my laptop.
Awesome stuff that he's got.
And so I use it for like a half hour a day, maybe an hour.
Which one are you using? I'm interested because he's got a few.
This one that I have, it looks like a radio. Let me pull it up. Well, I can't pull it up on a larger screen, but
yeah,
it's a black box. It's got the little screen for the television on it. It's got white noise.
I love that one.
It's got the rain. I use the rain sound because I've tried it a couple of times with the white noise, and I have to say I get more responses with the rain sound than the white noise.
Yeah, I love that one. It's got the Lord's Prayer chopped up in it. You can do that. Yeah. It's got the rain noise, the white noise. I think he said that was one of his first ones he put out. I think if I remember talking to him about it, I'm like, well, that one's brilliant.
Yeah, I really like that one. I've gotten some responses. Like 2 days ago, I was sitting there. He was around doing something. I had it on for an hour, and I had just gotten a cup of coffee, and I sat down and I put it on, and I'm kind of just setting up the internet or whatever. And 2 voices come through, and they say good morning, and then they said my name.
No.
So, you know, I sat there, and it wasn't constant, but they would come through when they could every few minutes for about like an hour. So we had like a good solid, almost kind of a conversation. I was asking questions, they were responding.
You know, for your listeners, I'm sure some of them know, some of them may not. I think we've talked about this before, but there's they did an experiment in Britain a few years back called the Skull Project.
Skull experiment, yep.
Yes. And if anyone is interested in like ITC, they might want to watch that because there's a segment where there's an old timer on there from Italy, and I always forget his name.
I can't remember his name.
I never remember his name either, but he's a perfect example of what we're talking about.
Right.
Exactly. And what's interesting about that is he seems to be the conduit. Like you know, they've even taken out like pieces of his old, like radio. He uses this really old time radio from like, I don't know when, before any of us were born. Yeah. And they've even like pulled out like some of the tubes and stuff, and he still gets responses. And they're
crazy.
Responses.
Yeah.
So there's obviously something going on where like he may be a medium, you know, I don't know, but that's one of the reasons between that and Jen seems to have, it's just like, well, let Jen hold the ghost box.
Right. It's like, it's like,
yeah.
It's kind of like, it was kind of like 3 months ago. We were at Summerlin for the camp out meet and greet, and they had a female team of investigators, all females, come up, and one of them had the very first Ovilus. You had to use the headset.
Oh, I remember that.
And one of the other members had dowsing rods, and she would ask on the over the Ovilus, you know, can you please make the rods move if you're like a male or a female, or, you know, questions like that.
Yeah.
The minute the activity stopped, she was asking questions and she couldn't get any answers. And she asked me if I wanted to try it out because we were talking about it beforehand. I get the headset on, and I had to have him put on his headlamp because it started getting dark out by this time. And she put the Ovilus on my hand, and before I got the headphones on my ears, it started talking. It came through and it said
green.
It said green for the light that he had on.
I have a headband, and it's got the purple and it's got the green.
Right.
And
does anybody gripe at you for wearing the headlamp? Because I had a lamp, and everybody like, "Oh God, not the headlamp! Gonna get me in the eyes."
We both wear headlamps, but so we heard green light, and then it said blue, and then it said Angel, and then it said Jenny. Because even though I'm Jennifer, everybody calls me Jenny for short. And so I said hi, and it said hi back, and kind of had this little conversation. And everyone's looking at me like I have 3 legs. Like, what the hell? We've been sitting here for like hours trying to get responses. We just hand it to you when it starts going off.
I thought usually Ovilus is, I'm more skeptical generally. I'm like, for me, like if I have something over FSP7, it's got to have more than 1 syllable, for instance. I'm not just that kind of person.
Right.
With the Ovilus, I'm skeptical. I mean, I believe ITC research is valid. Mm-hmm. But I also believe there's a lot of matrixing going on with it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. So with the Ovilus, you don't have the matrixing, but you have the mental matrixing where, like, we've seen, like, Ghost Adventures and stuff, where they'll get a few words, and then they'll put some story together.
Right.
Right? It's like, oh, really? Like, you guys came up with that for 3 words?
I know. No, it's always 1 word. It's demon.
Yeah.
We always joke about that in our group. It's like, oh, we gotta get obvious or demon. How many times it's only got 1 word in the program, I think. Well,
I've had it happen to me a couple of times. I'll turn on the box, the SB7, and be like, hi, demon. I'm like, no, you're not. I'll be like, really? They'll say Saint. I'm like, no, you're not. You wish you were. You're not.
We're a little over 10 o'clock. I don't care. But for the last 5 minutes or so, do you want to give it a shot? Give the ITC a shot?
Oh, you get out the spirit pot?
Yeah.
I got it. No. I got. Wait. Hold on.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
Let's do that. ITC. I love ITC. I can sit there.
Yes, let's do it.
Hold on. Check this out.
Okay.
I get it working. Hold on. See if it's working. Might have to have you do it. We'll see. Good plan. Hold on. Oh. Go wrong button. I might not be able to get to work on my end. Setting it up. Hold on.
Okay. Anyways, I'll keep talking like I was saying. So,
Do you guys hear?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on. Okay.
Oh, that's you. Hold on. I'm not getting any audio out of my thing. Let me try this. Go ahead and talk.
Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, I thought it was really compelling because the second I turned, it was the first time in the evening I had turned my light on, and I turned it to green. I usually go green, you know. And the second that light turned on, the word green came over the obulus. And I thought, what are the odds of that, honestly? And then, like, within 30 seconds, after Jen had asked, like, a couple questions, and I answered her, and it said Jenny. It said her name.
Right.
And I thought, okay, now it said green. Right? I mean, like, right after I turned it on, green comes out. And then it says Jenny, like, a few moments later.
Well, yeah.
And for me, that is a little more compelling than just your average.
Well, you gotta rate it the same way you rate EVPs. I think, you know, it's gotta be, you know, a direct response to what's going on or to your question. They can't. You know, I see some people post their videos and they barely ask anything and they just let the thing go and they tag it all the way through. I'm like, well, especially with an SCD1, which I got, it's going to say a lot of things. It's playing IP radio. It's, you know, of course it's going to say stuff, you know, to make it valid, it's got to reply to what you're asking and make sense. Like Matt Payne, he got the Jason soup or something, whatever. And now he's got soup again. It ended up saying it again. So I'm getting some notoriety on the other side. All right. I think I figured out. I didn't have it plugged in. So.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's SCD1. You hear it?
Yeah.
All right, let me turn my noise gate on. Oh, wrong one. All right, noise gate's up quite a bit. So Jen, since you get great responses, now you're not holding this device, but maybe it can come through with you asking questions. Go ahead, and you got about 5 minutes. We can try to ask some stuff.
Hello to everybody out there. Question. I know.
You're not on investigation.
Right, I know. It's like, can you tell me who I'm speaking to? Can you give me a name, please?
Give us a name. Noise gate's not working very good this time. It's like lots bleeding through. Oh, I know. Let me see this. All right, let me try that. Turn that down, turn this up. If anybody's there, you got to push through the noise gate now. I've got it way up. Can you tell us your name? Can you tell us the name of somebody that's in this group? What's the girl's name that's here in our little show? Can you tell us the name of the girl in the show? Sounded like Jen. I don't know.
That was Jen.
Can you tell us the guy next to Jen? Sounds like it's trying to say Kevin.
It's trying to say your name.
I always like to do the finger test. How many fingers am I holding up? I thought I heard 5, but I don't know.
I heard 5.
I love the one time I hold up 2 and it said 4. I'm like, okay, you're drunk.
Well, one thing I sometimes I'll ask for it to repeat words I say, and I don't know if that upsets the spirits or not, if they feel like they're being toyed with. But can you say paranormal soup?
Say paranormal soup. Oh, and the app stopped working. You broke the app, Kevin.
That's why I said, when I do that, I feel like maybe I shouldn't be doing that because. But yeah, if we can get direct responses, if they can just repeat something we say, how amazing is that, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you don't want them to make them feel like there is a carnival attraction or
right.
What I'm saying.
It's like dance monkey dance. Come on. Or
right.
It's like the frog. No, it's like that old cartoon with the dead frog. Or it looks like it's dead frog. The guy when he picks the frog out of the box, it's like, hello, my baby. It's like dancing, and then he goes to the soul, and it's like, oh, I'm dead. That's kind of what it's like. It's almost like there's a tree fall in the forest. It's not going to do it. It's not going to dance for you. It's not going to give you 100% belief. It's done stuff to me though. It's said stuff to me. The night we did the ITC show and we were doing the experiments. For anybody who watched the show, didn't get to see. I have on my YouTube channel now 3 videos from our ITC experiments, and we didn't notice right at the beginning when we started. It said, not the GeoBox experiments. We didn't get a lot of the GeoBox because it was hard to hear. Steve was trying to hold it up to his computer mic, so it wasn't coming out really good. A lot too much reverb. When we did it with my this device that I was just doing, it said the soup, and we totally missed it. We didn't even hear it, and it's totally clear when you go back. We're like, who's here? It says just us spirits. Stuff like that we missed. Stuff you miss that when you go back and listen, it's like, damn, how did we miss that? That was totally right there. So it's interesting, ITC experimentation. But we really went down a lot of rabbit holes tonight.
It was fun, though. It's always a blast on here.
Well, thank you. I love having you guys. When I first talked to you, the first time I ever had, we were testing out. I think we tested out a day before the first time I ever had you on, and we got on a Skype. We were only going to test out for like 10 minutes, and we ended up talking for like an hour and a half.
We could have done a whole show just on the main. Just meeting each other.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't record any of that, but but it was cool. It was very cool, and that's what I knew. I was like, I like these guys, and that's what's great about having you guys on again. And I want to have you on again in the future.
Hopefully this time.
Yeah. The next Friday, the 18th, I'm going to be on there with Josh Myers, president of my group. We're going to be on your show, Paraversal Universe, on Paranormal King Radio Network.
Yep. Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And that goes for minimum of an hour, maximum of 2 hours. We usually run the 2 hours, unless a guest has got to be somewhere or something.
I feel we're going to run 2 hours.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get the EVPs playing. That's why I want to try to get on early with you guys and make sure I get the audio working right. I'm hoping I can play some EVPs for you guys. I don't want to dominate the show with my EVPs.
No, this is good because, we didn't, we usually have a theme for each show. And we weren't sure if we were going to do the ITC theme with you guys or not. But we thought since, you have the whole group in the society, we would just make it about Midwest Paranormal. But we've never had really anybody bring on EVP, stuff before. Right. You know, we're usually just talk. So if you want to bring on any evidence,
totally do.
Let's do it.
Yes, absolutely. By all means, please.
Yes.
Yeah, one of my favorite Art Bell guests is the Ghost Hunters International Society, or whatever it is, GHI or something like that, and they do EVPs on the show every time. And those are my favorite episodes. This actually gave me the idea to start doing a podcast, and then moved on into this. Is because I got all these EVPs, and that was my way of like showing them. I started doing a podcast. I'm like, God, I really like this. And here I am now, doing a video cast and meeting all cool, awesome people. So, yeah, I love EVPs. That's my original thing I got into. So, yeah, I'm going to try to get up some of my best. And people have listen to the show, listen to it. Yeah, you're probably going to hear some EVPs I play in here, but it's their show. I want to play my best ones. I played them on here before, but I want to play my best ones on there for you guys. And I always come back on and play more, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to hold back.
You don't have to.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't think my EVPs are mind blowing. Like some of my friends or some like my mentor, he's got some EVPs that are just like, holy cow, you know, but I think I got some pretty good ones. So I'm really looking for it.
Anytime we get like evidence from a paranormal investigator who can stand to lose their what's the word I'm looking for?
Credibility.
It becomes that much more valid. Like, in other words, when I get here and see evidence from just your average person, I take it with a grain of salt. When it comes from a paranormal investigator or group, they're laying everything on the line with that. So that in itself makes it that much more credible to me. So having you come on with the EVPs that you've gotten on your investigations that you know are legit, we trust you, we believe you, we know these are going to be the real thing.
Right.
And that's opposed to us going out.
It's the only reason I got into the paranormals. Like, I mean, I've always been interested in it, but man, when I got my first EVP, I was hooked. I don't want anything fake. I go round and round with investigators. Like, are you sure that wasn't somebody else? Like, I have two recorders going. I have a video camera going. If I can, I always have sometimes equipment problems, but I don't have a lot of expensive equipment. But I try to videotape 2 recorders at least, and try to, we have rules while we're there about, no whispering, and we tag endlessly, all the noises and stuff. Cause I don't want to fool myself. I don't want to, I really like over criticize my own EVPs, and I feel bad when I do it to others. I don't try to, I just try to get the best, let's get the best validation for this,
Because what comes with EVPs, it's so easy, they're so easy to get contaminated based on your surroundings, that you want to make sure that everything is set and the conditions are right. I have one EVP that we did. It was a residential case, and it was like a couple of blocks up from here, and this is the best one ever. It was sitting in the basement. They had this back room. I had all my lights off. He put the K2 meter, or not the K2 meter, the Ghost Pro meter on my leg, and he put a recorder on like an old piece of furniture. And I was sitting there asking it questions, and I'm like, I know you're here. If you can wave your hand through this device, it'll light up and it'll beep, and I'll be able to hear you. No, I didn't hear it audibly. When we played it back, you heard a voice come through, and it was really wispy, but you could hear it so clear. It was a Class A. When I repeated it, because I asked it twice, all you heard was "damn." That was the response. That was
this is how it works. She forgot to mention we had the EMF detector on her leg, and I put the voice recorder like on this bench or whatever, and then we left her in the room in the dark by herself.
By myself.
And she had asked, "Can you wave your hand through this?" And after she asked that, it lit up. Mm-hmm. And then right after it lit up, you hear on the recorder, "Damn." Like, it was actually surprised that it worked when it went through it. That you can't beat that kind of stuff, No. Nobody else was in the room with her. There was a male voice. Yeah. It's clear as day. Yeah. We had the meter light up right before the voice.
Yeah.
On cue. It doesn't get better than that.
No.
Sometimes there's some EVPs that are really frustrating because they mimic you. I've had that. I'm like, I didn't say that. I never said that. I would never say that. I got one where I'll play it for you that night. It's my first Class A I ever got. It says, I hate you to another investigator. I would never say that. And only some people thought it was me. I'm like, I never would say that. I would never, ever say that to an investigator. It was like mimicking me or something, or just at least sounded similar to me. But I was on video camera and you don't see my lips move, and it didn't show up on the video camera. I don't know how.
The ones that make me laugh is when they swear at you and you're not expecting it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's always the classic ones like Get Out. I don't know how many Get Outs you've gotten. I've gotten a few. There's the classic ones like that. But then you get ones that just blow your mind. Like, how is that possible?
Exactly.
Well, I'll let you guys go. I try to keep the show to 2 hours as best I can. I always go over. I might as well just say the show's 2.5 hours. I never make it just under 2. But thank you guys so much. Thank you again for the first time when you reached out to me and said, hey, would you be interested in having us on your show? You were the first people ever to reach out to me about coming on the show, as investigators. I've had people that are, having experiences reach out to me to come on the show, and I've had some great people. But when you guys came on, you were one of the first ones to reach out after I posted.
Yeah, that was cool. And had you posted that anywhere else besides CSI? I don't know if we would respond to it as quickly, but the CSI is that Jenny started that group page.
It's a great page.
Thank you.
And so yeah, when that came on, it's like absolutely. We got to,
Right.
Actually, what it was 2 people posted that same day. One was you, and the other was some other guy from California.
I don't remember.
And one of the reasons I responded was to make sure it was legit, because the other guy wasn't. He was charging people. He wanted money, and he didn't say that on what he did. But when you contact him, then he tries to sell you this pitch, and then he wants you to pay for it. Like, you got to pay to be on radio. It's like, no, man,
no,
free. We do it for free.
Right.
So when we contacted you, you were the real deal. Right. You weren't trying to get money out of us. You weren't, messing around. You're like, hey, man, I have a show. I'd love to have you on.
Right. And then,
when you told me that, I was shocked. Sorry. I was just flabbergasted that somebody did that.
And don't be surprised if after you're a guest on our show that, other shows on our network will probably reach out to you to be guests.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Right.
And next thing you know, then their friends with shows reach out.
I bet you the first person that he'll be on after us is Ross.
I hope I can steal some of your awesome guests. You guys have some awesome guests on your show. I
tell you, if you ever have a topic you want to discuss and you can't find a guest, you can always, send us a text saying, hey, do you know anybody in this field who does radio?
I'm going to hit you up on that for sure. The first one, I got to talk to your one friend about the Bigfoots. I want a Bigfoot episode. I got to do one. I haven't done one yet. I want an episode totally dedicated to cryptozoology and Bigfoots and that whole experience. So I got to talk to her. She's going on your show. When is that? Is that next Friday?
Yes, not this Friday. Next year on next Friday. Next Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, Friday after that. So maybe a couple months from now, I'm able to get her on and talk to her. Yeah, because that'd be cool. Oh, thank you guys. I'll let you go. Next week, ITC Collective Show, Anthony Sanchez, Mike Acosta with Paradat. Check out his YouTube channel. He's got some really great evidence, and you'll see it that night. He's been working on a compilation video to show. We might show some of his other videos too. And then Steve Huff's going to hop on a little bit to talk about the Impossible Box with Anthony, hopefully. And then we'll do some live ITC experiments. So that's next week. After that, I will have a little break. I won't be on the 27th that Sunday because that's my son. Well, my son's birthday is the 30th. That's going to be his birthday party. And I don't want to try to be doing his birthday party and planning a show.
Right.
4-year-old's hard enough to deal with. So that's what we got coming up.
Thank you for having us on. So awesome.
Thank you for, I was like, maybe I could get these guys to come on the 13th because that's the only spot I had open. And I was like, I need somebody. And I've been wanting you back on. I was afraid you're going to be like, well, it's a little soon, isn't it? I'm like, no. But no, that's awesome. So I was so happy when you were like, yeah, definitely. What date?
Right. Next time we come on, we promise we'll have evidence.
Not a big deal.
We'll go through pictures.
Yep, we got all kinds of stuff.
It just gives another reason to have you guys back on. Not like we need another reason, but we can sit here and talk. That's what's awesome about it. We don't need evidence tonight. We can sit here and talk for hours. We could go on probably another 2 hours and just keep talking about it. I don't know if the audience could, but listen to us. But I know I could keep talking to you guys for like a couple more hours just on any of these subjects, and they're all rabbit holes that lead down really dark, mysterious places and wild theories, but I love it. That's why I do this show. I love having this kind of rapport with other people on this subject. So thank you guys. And we will get you back on and we will play that evidence once you get your email working. Sure. I got to be up early in the morning, so I better shut it down so I could get my butt to bed. I always, after a show, have to take like an hour and a half to unwind because I'm like always like, psh, as soon as I finish. Like right now I feel tired, but as soon as I hit the end button, I'm still like, woohoo,
We've gotten that before. We know how you feel.
Yeah. I just got to go make my cup of tea, listen to a little bit of the show, and listen to the rest of the next day. So,
do you listen to your shows right after you do them, or within like a day of? I mean, do you? Because I like to listen to our shows, and Jenny's like, "Why are we? We just did it. Why are we gonna listen to it?" I'm like, I want to hear it.
I do if I can. I got my wife up. Like, I probably won't get to it right now, but if it's late and she's gone to bed, I'm like, I should go to bed. But if I'm like off the next day, I'll start listening to it right away. Because one, I'm my biggest critic, so I like to go, oh, I totally screwed that up, or wow, I shouldn't do that next time, or whatever. I just start looking for it right away, like what I need to do to improve my show. So yeah, I start listening to it right away if I can, because I'm worried and I want to make sure it's played right. So.
Well, that's the thing. Right. I do, and I want to listen to it right away. We always listen to it like within the week,
right?
Because Jenny's really like, she's the one that.
Yeah, I have this weird quirk for some reason where after we go on the air, I don't need to hear myself like right after we go off. So I like to give myself at least a few days before I. I'll admit,
I hate hearing myself. I do it because I like to make sure my show went all right, that there wasn't any bugs or glitches with the system, or I didn't do anything to say something totally stupid. I got nailed by somebody because I said a couple of the ITC show with all the critics I got on that. Somebody on Facebook that used to like me doesn't anymore because I guess they thought I said, I've listened to it. I'm like, that's not what I really said, but I said paranormal. He said I said paranormal and science don't mix. That's not what I meant. If I said that, I have to go back and listen to that. When I listened to it before, I'm like, that's not what I really was saying. I was saying the paranormal, science can't explain what's going on in the paranormal. Most of the time. That's what I was trying to say. I'm not saying you can't apply scientific method to what's going on. You should try. You should be trying to do that. But I was trying to say, when it comes down to it, there's just these things science cannot explain, and we're going to have to deal with that. It's if you want pure science, it's not going to happen. These things are not explained yet. We can use science to try to get an idea and try to validate, but that's what I was trying to explain. So I totally lost somebody because of that one. So that's why I like to go back to see what stupid crap I said that pissed somebody off. Because boy, I know I do that very well. All right, guys. So next time we'll get you on with the evidence. And even if we're not able to, I'd love just to have you on to talk more. And if we get the lady on about the Bigfoots, I'm sorry, I forget her name. I am horrible with names. That's why I'm not a professional host. I'd love to have you two. Yeah, I'd love to have you two on just to join the discussion on it. As investigators, you're welcome to be on that panel.
One of the things I like about your show is you got the little boxes at the bottom of the screen, and we got all the different people on there. That's awesome. It's so interactive, That way,
That's what sold me on Google Hangouts when I first started looking into how I was going to do a show. And I was like, I could do a video cast and I can have these people on a whole group of people, like a big hangout and a discussion. It's awesome. Problem is I've discovered that it has its limits. I get past 6-7 people, it gets laggy. And if my kid does something like hop on Netflix, there it goes. So yeah, and I got bitched at for mentioning about my bandwidth too much on that ITC show too. People are like, stop talking about your bandwidth. Oh well, can't win them over. All of them.
Yeah, so. Someone's always gonna be a critic. We got a nasty letter one time saying Coast to Coast. Yeah, saying what was it?
We were slack-jawed yokels. We were stupid.
Yeah, we said and I don't know, or I mean too much. Right. Like like how you say or well, or I don't.
So too.
You know, and then he's like, "You're not a real medium. You're not a real paranormal investigator." And of course, I was nice about it. I posted a classy rant. I could have been really nasty and swore at this guy, but I didn't.
Yeah,
and
I never will be.
I had like how many people support me?
I know, it was actually cool because here this guy was trying to make us feel bad and insult us. And so we get this letter, and it's really nasty.
So he sent you a letter in the mail?
How did we get that? No, he posted it.
Posted it.
Okay. I'm like, that's some effort.
Right. And so Jen goes on, and she just says like she just talks about it for a little bit, right? She's like, "That's a bummer, you know, this guy, you know, whatever." And then bam, all this outflow of love came through. We had people like John Zaffis and stuff coming on and saying, "Hey, we support you."
Right.
You know, it was just cool. We had all these like famous people come on and just, you know, stick up for us. And it turned out to be like this guy was trying to cause animosity and make us feel bad.
It didn't work.
And it backfired because here we had
awesome.
people that we didn't even know were listening to our show coming on saying, "You guys do great. You're awesome."
Screw them.
Basically, who's this guy? He, you know, when we found out that he was some investigator who can't get on a show to save his life, and there you go. So
yeah, that was exactly my feeling when I did the ITC show, and I'm gonna get the haters when I do it again next week. But there was so much support that came out from people for this show that I was amazed. And you know, maybe I had some big names that came out and supported it. You know, the ITC collective. I was very like, wow, thank you. Anthony Sanchez got in a verbal fight with some people on the the YouTube chat or, you know, comment section there. But I was proud of that. But just the normal people listening and commenting and supporting the show meant and still means a lot. And they make comments now that are really supportive and like, you know, "We love your show. It's got a great vibe." I'm like, it means they don't know how much that means to me.
Right. Well, you know, so you know, we support your show too because your show's awesome. We always have fun when we're on it, and it's a complete blast.
Yeah.
Well, definitely, if I do the Bigfoot thing, you guys got to be a part of the panel. We'll make that.
Okay.
Got to be part of the panel. So, all right, we better go. I hear my it's 10:30. It's on the 2.5 hour mark. I guess I'm just gonna start telling people my show's from, you know, whatever, 2.5 hours. It always ends at this point. So, all right, guys, thank you. Next Friday, Paraversal Universe. We're gonna be on there. Me and Josh Myers. We're gonna talk about our group, Midwest Paranormal. I'm happy to be on the show. Thank you guys for going to have us on. It's going to be awesome. We're going to play some EVPs. I haven't done it on my own show in a long time, so it's going to be fun. I can't wait to do it. I'm nervous. I'm actually more nervous about doing your show than I am doing about my own shows half the time. So
it's going to be just the same. But
you'll be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to kick ass.
All right, guys. See you next Friday, and I'll see the rest of the Paranormal Soup audience. Come listen to that show, and then I will see you for the next ITC Collective show, the 20th of September. We're going to get on Steve Huth, Anthony Sanchez, and Mike Acosta. It's going to be a great night. See you then.
Leave your soul behind. All the signs align, and what you don't find. Way where silence holds the day. Just the witness with the lit. Never know my